All right. Happy Monday, everyone.
Yo, yo.
Welcome back to Business Hats Podcast. I have a business hat. How many businesses do you have, Mike? Mike Holmes.
Hey, hey.
I call him Black Mike Holmes. And
We just talked about this.
yeah, and so when we interviewed, we did an interview a year ago. I opened up with a Black Mike Holmes, and who made a comment to you?
Oh shit, who didn't?
So,
Everybody black. They're like,
uh,
you let that motherfucker go, you black man home. I'm like, no. We talked about it because it made sense because there's a Mike Holmes contractor that's known and way more popular than both of
yeah.
us put together,
And
right?
he's actually in our industry. So he's partnering with the 3M and Atlas
Atlas.
Shingles. So it's funny because Marcus White says, "Who Mike Holmes?" Well, Black Mike Holmes. That's who. Because if you say Mike Holmes, people immediately will ask you, "Oh, you got Mike Holmes on the show?" No, not that Mike Holmes. Black Mike Holmes. So it's,
Yeah.
how many businesses do you have?
I just have Repair King. I do some other things unofficially, but officially just Repair King.
Do you
It's
do a lot of repairs? I had to call him out. What kind of roofer names his company Repair King and doesn't do repairs? Why don't you do repairs?
this guy. Oh, because I got the company, it was already named. It'd be like if I took over directory and they're like, "Do you direct people?" I'm like, you know. So it was Repair King before I got it. I definitely thought about changing the name of the company. I think about it all the time. I thought about it this year, but I'm nervous to do it. I think last time I was here was it 2 years ago already.
Hmm.
2 years. When last time I was here, I had just made the recently just made the logo change, which was huge for me because it was a drastic one. It was from an RK to a crown. It wasn't a gradual one. And I want to change the name bad. I want to get repair. I don't. I want to get repair off there, but it's
But
just
I think from marketing standpoint, repair gets leads, it gets clicks.
that's another strategy too. That's a reason to leave it. Also, I'm leaving it for I want to change it, if I find the right thing and if it's worth it, maybe. But there's a strategy in you keeping the familiar name, the tenure that you have that comes with that. The other thing is repairs get us bigger deals. Almost when we go to a repair, we have our fingers crossed, hoping for a bigger deal. Even
Mhm.
if you I've also changed my strategy recently to just become a data hoarder. I just care about the data now. I want to get the data. So if I go to somebody's house, even if it's a lead, and this is and take the game, guys. Like if you guys are doing this, anybody out there, my suggestion is keep the data, keep any data you get. If you do a small repair, make sure I use AccuLinks. I don't know if you guys use Nimbus, whatever, but whatever software you use, make sure you guys are using the CRM. So I know some guys are using some free stuff, some cheap stuff, some I know some one guy on Excel. It's like you better pay the subscription, buddy. But use a CRM and just become like a data whore. I just keep it all, and because then you got future customers, past customers. If I buy a lead, I, the way I view it is I own that data. If I go buy a lead package, say I buy 100 leads and say we close half of them or half of them turn into something, the other half are dead. I'm still taking those 50 other dead leads and they still go in my CRM as something. They're at least a dead lead so that now I can compound all the leads or anybody that I've had. So now I could just have hundreds or thousands of names and contacts. So if I want to do a mailer, or if I want to do something and go after somebody, or marketing, I now have the data. So it's future value.
And repair leads are always cheaper than replacement leads.
Absolutely. And a lot of time what I realize is that homeowners want a repair. They think they want a repair. They call for one missing shingle. Well, guys, what's that turned into? Oh, it's discontinued. That's why it fell off. Or you actually have hail damage. Or I've gotten a property manager relationship from that because they called me because they wanted the repair. So slick. I kind of like the repair
No,
king
I love
too.
it. Well, it's you have five times cheaper leads. You have way more calls. You have way higher. I mean, think about it. 70% of contractors don't do repairs.
Mhm.
And search, if you study Google or request search for repairs are five times greater than a
Mhm.
replacement. Nobody, like, it's common sense. People don't go on the internet searching for new cars or new stuff. They search for repairs first. If you have a car, you search for oil changes. You want to
Yeah.
service it. If you have a roof, you don't go. like roof replacement, you will go roof replacement repair way more often. So you have 30% of competition doing it. So you're not competing with the 70 who don't do it,
Right.
and you have 5 times more the demand.
Yeah. So I guess so. I'm kind of coy and I kind of play with that, right? So do I do repairs? You see my reactions because no, I don't like to do repairs, but I'll take the repair calls. But I'm really going there because I know 9 times out
You
of 10 there's something else. You
exactly.
so if you call, I mean, even if you call me, somebody just called me. I've got 2 this week. We're dead. It's 1 degree outside in Minnesota. It's cold.
Oh, it's colder than one
Yeah,
degree.
yeah, to this week, meaning Sunday and Monday, I've already gotten 2 repair calls. One was a flat roof and the other one was a leaky roof. Well, then I get out there. What am I doing? I'm keeping the data. I'll go out there. I'll check it out. Send a roofer out. I'll go check it out or send a roofer out there. Um, but then I'm going back and I'm checking their home. They, oh, come check this. My soffit fell. Do I really want to go drive somewhere for freaking $25, $50, whatever, 100, whatever dollars soffit? It's under whatever that number is. Do I want to do that? No. But when I go there, I got my ladder out. Guess what I'm doing? I'm checking that roof.
Love it.
I'm checking that siding, checking this, I'm checking that.
Let's talk about the winter. So we're in Minnesota. It's freezing outside.
Mhm.
Can you look up like what's the temperature? I think it
The
was
temperature is 6 right now.
it
It's a high of 13 and it's a low of -1.
yes, it's super cold. We're in Minnesota, and if you're in the roofing business, it's depressing time of the year because uh, and I want to talk about it right away. Let's talk about bankruptcies, cash flow, and how many times you went under, or it's hard to pay bills in wintertime.
Oh yeah, it can be. For
Here's how it works. You have your ABC, you have your credit lines and stuff. You work. August is busy, September is busy, October is busiest month here, November is busy, and then
Mhm.
December it just stops.
Yeah.
So all your sales stop coming, but all your bills are catching up to
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You mentioned that 2 years ago you got in trouble. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
I did. And it's funny because like nobody wants to talk about the what they don't want people to see, right? So, but yeah, that happened to me. I got behind, uh, and I got behind. I noticed it was the pattern. It was in the winter time is tough. You have to be really good at managing yourself in the winter time if you're not generating income, like you said. Um, I got behind, and part of it was I think the bulk of it was when I had to right after COVID, I had to let go of a admin in the office who was holding it down, and I had to let her go, and so nobody was there doing the job. Well, then we're busy, and I don't have time to interview and do this, and we're a smaller company, so I'm caught in the mix. And so what happens? You just wear that hat too. Well, then you can't wear that hat 100% and wear this hat 100%. So then you begin kind of half-ass doing this or half-ass doing something has to give. And then either it's production, you can't continue to bring in the deals, you have to manage the ones that you have, but you got to kind of figure out what's the balance. And so I ended up getting behind. Things started slowing down in the business. You'll see that the sales just stop. Then you got to go do production or whatever it is. So I got behind, started traveling a lot during the winter time and just forgetting about things, or people didn't know who's calling, who's collecting. Uh, some customers don't want to pay, yada yada. So you just have a compile of different things that happen. And I got behind. I think on ABC I ended up owing 92,000, and SRS was $67,000. I was like,
So you don't have money in the bank to pay it, but you have $90,000 bill, 60 something
and then you
thousand.
got to wonder where's that money come from. And then so you're like, oh shit, that's a lot of money.
What was your receivables?
Um, at that time, it was a few 100,000, but they weren't coming. It was just, just stuck. It was like either homeowners, they wait, or they don't, or they kind of just sign off. Like in Minnesota,
Mhm.
people kind of sign off right when Christmas, right around
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, people just sign off until New Year's. They don't want to talk
Mhm.
to you. I don't want to talk about business, holidays. It's Christmas. I don't want to talk. They don't want to talk
and,
about
and,
it.
and you can't push it.
Yeah.
Guys, comment below what you do when your customers start ghosting you, especially during the holidays, during
Yeah.
Thanksgivings and Christmases. And
Yeah, and then and there's a percentage of people that we've experienced that they have the money,
Mhm.
but they have kids, and Santa's got to come. And then so they're like, well, and then they start trying to be their own financial advisor. They're like, well, if I spend a little bit of this roofing money, and then if I wait for my tax return, and then they start ghosting you.
And the longer they don't pay you, the harder it is to collect.
Yeah, it's the hardest to collect. And then on top of that, you have your obligations, right? So if I have a 30-day with ABC or 60 here, well then now I have stuff accruing and I got to keep paying. Well, the money has to come from somewhere.
Hmm.
So then, and you don't want to get in a Peter to pay Paul thing because it's hard to get out of, and then it gets messy. So I got behind, and it's funny. I was talking to some friends. I'm like, man, I never seen a 92,000,000. Oh shit. And then there's another bill. I got nervous. My friends were like, well, they're like, why don't you just pull a Trump? I was like, what you mean? They're like, fucking Trump claimed bankruptcy at least 13 times. They said that's what the white people do. I'm like, I'm like, oh shit, it is kind of smart. I don't know, maybe. And I really considered it because I
So who was giving you the advice? Your friends, like your industry friends?
industry friends. I'm not gonna say their
Sure,
names,
sure.
but industry friends. They're like, fucking claim bankruptcy. Write it off, start over. You get good credit, and then I've seen other people modify their name. So if my name was Repair King, I've seen people do Repair King Construction, Repair King LLC, Repair King USA. There's a lot of that goes on out there, and I just didn't. I don't know. It turned into a pride thing.
But it's not only. I had the funny thing is, in 2015, I got in financial trouble, like 350K. It was the same thing. It was $80,000 to ABC, and the same thing. Like like all my vehicles was paid off. Like I bought trailers, I bought trucks. I have like 8, 9 vehicles that was
Mhm.
all paid off. But when season ended, between collections, receivables, like I couldn't pay my bills, so I started making arrangements. And I remember people were saying, even my lawyer said, consider bankruptcy.
Mhm.
And I'm like, it's everybody gonna know who I am. That
Yeah.
ABC rep, that
Yeah.
United Products rep, you can change the name, but everybody gonna
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. And in my experience, so part of the reason when I took over Repair King was because the previous owner actually had to claim bankruptcy because he got in the same problem. And we talked about that last time.
Mhm.
He got behind with the bills, and that you see that's a constant thing that we have to talk about here is managing the financials in this industry. And so he got behind, and I took over. When he claimed bankruptcy, I went to go apply for my credit lines. I'm a new company. I did a DBA, right? Well, then I go to the credit people. They go, "Oh, Repair King." I go, "No, no, no, that's not me." I go, "No, it's a DBA." They go, "But you owe us money." I go, and they don't care. Maybe they've seen enough of it where they're just apprehensive and guarded, and they're like, "We need something clean." I'm like, "It is something clean. It's an acquisition." So it just didn't. I ran into some to some issues with that. There's a Beacon. I say it doesn't matter, but I went to Beacon. I have no experience with them. I went to go apply for a credit line. They're like, no. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because it says here Repair King owes. I'm like, that's not me. I'm like, check. Here's my information. Go call these other credit
But
lines.
anybody can do it. I mean, I can see their point, you know, their risk because someone have done it before.
Yeah.
And why did the previous owner file bankruptcy?
He got backed up because of the hold that the mortgage companies do, and then he took one of those loans. Those will give you $200,000 tomorrow loans, and he got backed up on that. And then same thing, receivables, AR. Excuse me. And then what happened was he just got backed up, and then he just wintertime and Minnesota's great because they pay good, but then you also got to remember we got 4 to 6 months depending on the year where there's not really much happening here. So a little bit of tundra up here.
I was reading article yesterday. There's a contractor in New Jersey did a press release. I have to do video response and make a
There's
video about it. He said that they roof in wintertime.
mm,
Like, can you roof in the wintertime? And they're like, this roofing company says they can because they're roofers. If your roof is leaking, like
yeah.
someone has to fix it. I'm like, please don't do it. Please don't tell people you can roof in the wintertime.
What's your opinion? Where do you stop?
I mean, I'll do like I will. I'm okay to go on a calls, provide estimate, do what you can. You stop below freezing. Like
Freezing.
if the water freezes, like
Yeah.
it's just not gonna. The problem with manufacturing is it's like sealants. It's like a tape, right? What's happening with the shingles, they will not seal for a long time. And
Hmm.
all the wind, all the snow, like you destroying it. Like if you take scotch tape and open it, take it outside, just a scotch tape for a day,
Hmm.
and then you come inside and try to stick it. Will it stick? No, the same problem with the shingles.
Mm-hmm.
When you install in a cold weather, the dust, the wind, the sealant
That debris.
gets destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just gets it'll never be tacky again. So when sun comes up in the springtime, your shingles will not seal, but the wind's still gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did one job. It was like 46 degrees that day, black black roof, charcoal, 412 pitch in Maple Grove. And over the winter, we have like 7 shingles on the ground.
Mm.
The roof did not seal. I keep coming back and coming back. How much does it cost you to reseal 7 shingles on a brand new roof?
Have you ever heard of anybody doing the cold weather sealing?
You can do it, but but it costs you. Like
Does it do it? Because that's a topic. Obviously, every year we have the same conversation like we never had it last year. It's just like the first snow, people can't drive, and in our industry, every first snow, the shingling topic comes back up. Do you still shingle? And I guess for me, it's been I call the reps. I don't want to be the professional. I want to say, hey, you told me to do it, so I always call a rep, and I'll go, what do you say? And they say freezing.
For liability reasons, they're not gonna tell you. So they like I was even reading this morning, like on the JF website, it says theoretically, no. Like there's theoretically, yes, you can, but they recommend you not to do it in the cold applications, and they're not gonna tell you
The
the
definition.
yeah, because it's your decision essentially. You
Yeah.
have to decide. What's crazy to me, if you look at a Canadians roofers, I mean those guys. I mean I see pictures on the Facebook and videos. They're roofing right now in the snow. Like you have to, like as it's snowing, they're roofing. No underlayment. They're just installing shingles over a deck, and I'm like, guys, come on.
Man.
New construction mainly,
Yeah.
but
See, and that was that was the other argument that I've heard. They go, well, new construction, they do it all the time. The homeowners just aren't there.
and then we replace those roofs because they never last.
Yeah, right. Right.
I mean,
I had to do one in smack in the middle of winter in January. Somebody got the call, and I don't know if I talked about this before, but I'll keep it short. But somebody called. They switched an insurance company, and then they got the letter that says you got 60 days to replace the roof. And we ended up doing the roof. I mean, we literally had to shovel snow off of it, and I was nervous. I'm like, I don't want this leak. All I could think about is somebody calling me saying there's a wet spot, and I'm like, that's a nightmare because now you got to spend money. We did the roof, and I was nervous, and I went back and checked. We had a shingle fall off, and we did the roof in January. We had a shingle fall off in a windstorm in March, and I went back again in May, and it was solid. It was solid.
guys, comment below where you're from and how late you are roofing and what you do in the wintertime if you're not roofing.
Comment your number, a degree number. Comment, do you stop at 45, at 40, 32? What's your number?
Yep. Here's the thing. Today we have way better underlayments than ever before.
Yeah.
Like that synthetic felt paper. I mean, it's not
all
gonna your shingles are just holding it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Your shingle is not the material that waterproofs your roof.
Yeah.
So to answer your concern, your roof will not leak, and that's why we're getting away with what we're getting away.
Yeah.
As long as you do your flashings right, and that underlayment, just like Tyvek, you can replace siding for the same reason. The Tyvek will stay on the house with no siding for like 6-8 months,
Yeah.
and nothing gonna happen to it. Like you can install synthetic felt paper on a roof with cap nails for 3-4 months, it'll not leak. But if you add shingles to it, it's even better. But the
Yeah.
problem is shingles will not seal, then you have blow-offs, but it's still not gonna leak. And that's how manufacturers are getting away with everything too. Because shingle doesn't have to be like 20 years ago, it wasn't the case with the synthetic fabric, too many seams. These days, it's the underlayments are way better.
Yeah. I only use a synthetic. I mean, I
In
don't.
in Canada, they still use felt paper. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Canada's like 30 years behind on everything. They don't learn like adopt new things.
Mm.
And they're also cheaper. Like the code in Canada, I went to Alberta a couple of years ago. Man, I was in shock. You think that US is getting cheaper in the whole construction? I mean, Canada is way down there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not regulated like
Mhm.
here, and codes are cheaper.
There's still places around here that don't regulate.
Sure.
I won't say the name, but well, one, there's a state right next to us that doesn't really regulate anything, a whole state, and then there's some cities that are just across the border. Because I found out by accident when through these storms, Minnesota, we had a really great power, big storm here this year, and some of it spilled over and across the border into the next state. And I went to one state or one city, and I just realized that. And I'm like, okay, so where do I pull a permit? They're like, well, there's no building inspector. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you don't have to pull a permit. I'm like, what do you mean? You
So
know?
let's read some comments. Pharaoh Steeler. I'm not filing for bankruptcy. I have Aspen's Roofing Yellow Book. Thanks, Elsie and Joe. How many companies have done it, man? It's insane.
Yeah.
Like the whole storm chasing industry is like that.
Yeah. And so back to that. So I owed the money, right? So then I'm like, okay, what do I do? Do I claim bankruptcy? It sounds tempting when people are telling you the stories. They make it sound like it's a vacation. They're just like, oh yeah, you just fill out the paperwork, your debt goes away, you get good credit.
How did they call it? Trumpet?
Yeah, they just do a Trump. They go do the Trump, pull a Trump on them, and then so that's the president. Or was. Do what he did. Look where he got him. But so I'm like, nah, my pride. I couldn't do it because of my pride. I couldn't do it because of the name. Because people are still going to know the name unless you just totally change the name and start over. And I wanted to. It wasn't worth it. 100, so if you put those two together, 92 and 67, what is that, like 150 something $1,000? And no, hell no, I'm not 150, 160. I'm not, it's not worth it because then now I can't make the same amount of money the next previous years. If I would have did that, if I would have listened to
Those guys.
the bootleg financial advisors, I would have not been able to. Could you imagine this year?
Did you have a good year?
Yeah, we had a good year. I didn't get my phone numbers, and I know we did a few million, but we're a smaller company, but you crazy? Hell no. I'd rather make with the profit we can make off of one deal. Sometimes in this industry, I think that's one of the things that makes this industry different. It's our ROI on one transaction. That would it kind of changes. You have to reevaluate a lot of what you're doing and how you process it. For example, let's say that. Okay, so if you say you have $150,000 back behind, divide that by your average roof cost. Okay, well, all right, cool. I need 15, maybe 10, 15 deals, and I get that back. How long does it take you to get 10 to 15 deals? Is that worth going through bankruptcy and messing up your name and having that attached to you and redoing credit lines and all that kind of stuff? Is not worth it. The other thing is ROI on even leads, right? Because I was thinking about leads. I was talking to somebody about lead packages and marketing packages. And by nature, I'm kind of cheap. I joke about it all the time, but I'm cheap. I want the deal. And sometimes I don't want to pay for things just because I hear the large number. Well, I had to break myself out of that. I had to seriously say, okay, for example, what's the guy's name? Matt. He does the insurance stuff. He's a cool dude. I like him. But I didn't pay for his program. I'm like, oh no, I know how to do that stuff. And maybe I don't do it like he does it, but I was just too stubborn to pay the money, right? And then so finally I'm like, and I just said to myself recently, I'm like, you're such a cheap ass. I'm like, that's one deal. It's one deal. So it's now if we were in like pest control or gutters, or if we had something with a different margin, it won't make sense. How many transactions do you need to have to get your money back is the question you have to ask yourself.
A lot of people who are listening to us, they're newer startups. How can you explain to newbie in the industry, to someone who is maybe working for a roofing contractor? Because I see that crew leaders, workers, employees, they look at the roofing business owners like, how come you cannot have money? Like, why are we even talking about bankruptcy? Like, you just said it. We have the highest return on investment per job. Like per transaction, you can make so much. Like,
Yeah.
you look at a $10,000 job, you on paper making $3,000. How do we go to bankruptcy from such a high profit jobs? Like, how do you explain it?
I think a lot of it has to do with the turnaround time for what you have to pay and what happens between when you get that first check and you get your final check and what happens in between there. So one thing, so I had a huge traffic jam this year. We got so much business. We had a freaking traffic jam. We had all this business coming in May and June. It was like, holy shit.
So we have major hailstorm.
Oh man, if you guys don't know, in Minnesota, see, I had a baby that was born on came home on the 9th.
Congrats.
Thanks. It's fun. He's cool. Keeps me awake. Right.
Have you slept yet?
Oh yeah, dude, it was kicking me last night. I'm like, dude, I got to get up in the morning. Quit kicking me. And then so, man, so the 9th, the month of May, we had at least 1, 2, 3 up north. Got hit 3 times in a row. 3, 4. We had 4 major storms, significant storms, all within 2 weeks. So it was like intense surge of business. And then when that happened, well, what does that mean? That means an intense surge of business. That means production was kind of halfway asleep, just waking up, coming out of hibernation from May, getting back to it. Next thing you know, here's 40, 60, 80 deals that just came in. You're like, oh shit, you know? So now you add in, I'm still paying back money. So that means
The last year.
my credit,
80,000, 60,000.
my credit lines were froze.
Mm.
Because so I'm operating cash like a damn startup, like I'm new, and it's just real.
Did you pay it off?
Yeah, I paid it off. Ooh.
Love it.
Yeah.
Best feeling in the
Oh
world.
man, it was the best feeling. So I walked into ABC with that last payment, like my money. I was like, open my credit line back up. Let's go. They're like, could you fill out an application? I'm like, my application? I just paid almost $100,000 to you. That's my application. What the hell? The fuck you should be? I just proved I could have ran off. I was like. They're like, yeah, can you fill out an application? SRS? I'm not rocking with them. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. I'm not, forget SRS. They won't give me my credit line back.
Really?
Yeah.
After you paid it off?
Dude, you made money off late fees. You made money off, they got your money off me. Your sales guy got paid. You got your money back. I could have left. I could have dipped. I could have did whatever. I paid all my money back. And then the SRS won't give me a credit line. I'm like, okay. ABC gave me a small credit line back, but because I put them up against the wall, I'm like, listen. You're gonna give me some money. And then but I had to play them. I had to play them against each other in the beginning because when I first got started, they didn't want to give me a credit line either. I was brand new. And then so they said, what was it? I played them against each other. ABC gave me $5,000, right? And then SRS gave me nothing. And they keep changing their name too. I don't know why. It's like SRS Roofing Contractors, Roofing Supply, this American Roof. I just like fucking. You should see in my phone. They got like 4 names. So ABC gave me 5,000, SRS gave me nothing. And I was like, what? And then so I went back in there one time to pay for something because they were 2 blocks from my old office, SRS was, right? Excuse me. So I go back, so I go down there and I'm like, oh, I made a big show. I'm like, all right, guys, hey, I went around, shook everybody's hand. Hey guys, nice seeing you guys. I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Like, why? What's going on? I was like, oh, well, ABC gave me money and you guys didn't. That means I got to go to ABC. Because I got to work on this credit line, so I got to feed them so I can turn my 5 into 10, my 10 into 20. They're like, well, wait, they gave you money? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they gave me, and I lied and said they gave me 10. I'm like, yeah, they gave me 10. They gave me 5. I lied. I said they gave me 10. I said they gave me $10,000. I was like, I got to get that 10,000 up. And then like, well, let's just wait. Let's just see what we can do. And then so the next thing you know, they came back to go, we can match them. We'll give you 10. I was like, all right, cool. Appreciate it. I guess we'll be back. I went to ABC that I had 5,000 at. I said, hey, SRS just gave me 10. I go, they're right down the street from me. And they're showing they want my business. I was like, I had to fight with you guys to get the 5. They just gave it to me. They gave me double of what you guys gave me. I was like, what are we going to do? Next thing you know, they gave me.
My name is Dmitry, and I don't approve lying negotiation.
I was in a hustle mode, boy. This is how you get negotiations, man.
So, all right. But you get it. Here's what I want to explain to young guys out there or startups. You all look at the numbers, at the profit margins per jobs, right? Like, I agree with you. Per transaction, we make a lot of money. But here's one thing that you have to keep in mind. You have a lot of crazy people out there. You have a lot of bad craftsmanship that will take place in your company. Think about every sub, every employee, every job that takes longer. Your risk is also 10 times greater than in landscaping business, for example. Your mistakes, if you get paid on every job, good. I did in 2019, we did a metal job. It cost me 60 grand. Had to redo entire job, like one job, one transaction. But also when it gets into mistake, think about how much money that mistake cost. We can have $10,000, $20,000 mistake. And as an owner, that's the risk you're taking. If you collect everything on every insurance claim, what are you going to do with a homeowner who and I want to talk about it right now, who decides not to pay for 3 months.
Mm.
You have to pay your sub, you have to pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do with these people? People who count your money and who at the end of the job giving you money but say you already made enough profit, that's enough for you.
Dude, there's so many stories, but
How often it happens?
It happens. And I just had a buddy call me last month, right after Thanksgiving. He just called me. So last time I was here, we were talking about me going into small towns, right? Well, I went into a small town, an hour and a half north of here, and I met a lead. I had a lead. I got to a door. I did my whole little spiel, talked to the guy. He had more questions than any other human that I've ever met. And then and I could talk too. So we were there about 45 minutes. Finally, he walks me over to this machine shed, and then he opens his door and he shows me all this equipment in this big trailer. He's the local contractor. And for 45 minutes, I've been talking about what I do, why I'm special, blah, blah, blah. And he kept asking me the difference between me, a guy who comes after the storm, and the local contractor. So I'm not talking trash about the smaller guy, but I'm just saying that more so I'm a specialist. And that's kind of how I present myself. You have a special situation and you need a specialist, and they're good for what they're like. Hey, he can build a house better than me, but in this situation, you better call me. So then he goes, Mike, man, I knew about you before you got here. I'm like, how? And I don't know, I almost said the city, but maybe you don't want me to say it because it's a small town up there. And then he was like, yeah, he was like, he's like, you got 6 of my, he said, you got 6 of my customers. I'm like, what do you mean? And he started naming them. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I got the phone call. As soon as you left, they all called me. They go, there's this big 6'4" black guy. I'm 6'2", but whatever, thanks. And they go, there's this big 6'4" black guy walking around signing people up and everything. And he named them all. I'm like, he's like, yeah. He was like, they all called me right after you left, and I told them to go with you. I was like, oh, well, thanks. So we started talking. He's like, well, my problem is I want to use you, but you got small town politics, and how am I going to explain to them that I got somebody else doing my roof? Long story short, I made a deal with him. He's a contractor. I said, listen, well, I'll do this. You got 2 big buildings. You got your house and this big metal building. I go, call me back. What the hell? I go, if I get 1 building paid for, I'll walk away. You keep it as a contractor, buy me a steak, and keep speaking good about me, whatever. If I get both paid, you pick which building you want. I pick the other building. And we just did a handshake deal like that. And I went there and I got his machine shed approved and his house got denied. 2 different insurance companies. So we kept the deal. He was like, nah, you could do it. I'm like, nah, it's good, man. Hey, that's what I said. I'm good. And then so he bought me some steaks or whatever. Then I went back. Well, of course I did a reinspection. I got it paid for at the reinspection. He was there. And by the time we went from the truck to the top of the roof, it was already paid because he was following. And, I kind of wanted him to stay back a little bit so I can talk my talk. Excuse me. And he was like, by the time he started walking, the guy started circling. He's like, what happened? I'm like, shut up. And I'm just like, let me just talk on, like, we don't need you to overanalyze everything right now. And I said, we'll talk after he leaves. And then so I got it paid for. He's like, Mike, man, he was like, I just don't understand what you do. He was like, I was right here. I seen it. I'm baffled. You're just, he was like, he's just amazed by what I do. And then the supplementing process came and his claim doubled. And he was just like, Mike, I don't know what the hell you do, but you're amazing. Now in that town, when I drive up to that town, we get in his truck and he brings me around and introduces me because they don't want to see my truck. They know him. It's a small town politics. So he goes, hey, this is Mr. Mike. And well, he does this. And then and then he lets me do his thing. Right. So now I got all these jobs in this town through him. And then I treat him like my sales guy now. So I turned the contractor into my sales guy. So then after that, now he just called me because he owes me some money because but not in a bad way. It's just he owes me some money. And then and he's a super good guy. So he's calling me up. He's like, hi Mike, I just want to make everything right before the end of the year, my books and everything, how much do I owe you, this and that and everything. And so we're just talking about it, and we were talking about clients that wouldn't pay because I had this lady. I saw your thing with Aaron Bible. Amazing dude. He's cool dude, man. His number is he's an anomaly or something in this industry. I don't know what that's dope. 4 years and the numbers you're doing is crazy. But Aaron doesn't collect money. I don't know.
Up front.
Yeah, up front. I don't know if we got a trust fund baby or what. I don't know where that money comes from, but that's a risky damn thing for a lot of people. It's good for some cases, but everybody can't do that. I do it on a case by case situation because in Minnesota, you go to some small towns and they're like, well, we do handshake deals out here. Well, I've done that shit before, and I got a pen in my pocket. And if you like to sign, I can do it on your phone too. So I've done some handshake deals. I went to one storm before, and I went to an insurance agent. He gave me 6 or 7 deals, and part of my agreement with him was him telling me the bad experience he had with signing contracts the years before, and how they came in, and some contractors came in. They kind of messed it up for everybody. It's just relationships, right? A girl gets her heart broken. Now she's mad at all guys. Insurance agent gets some contractor that comes in there and makes people do a half a roof under a contract when they don't want to, and now they hate the people to show up after the storm. Yeah. So I was like, all right, tell you what, because I already know how this insurance thing works, and referrals, that's just a subcategory, but I know how referrals work. Boom, I'm the guy. So I go there. I've never had to worry about it. I had 9 deals through this guy. The first day of the storm, I didn't make anybody sign. I was so confident. I was like, "Oh, this guy getting your insurance agent told me to go." Yeah, Oh man, it was so. I was counting my money. I was already counting my money. Nobody went with me. I wasted a whole week and a half.
Did you have signed contracts?
None, not from his people. The only deals that I got out of this stupid storm was 2 that I did, and I had so many deals in the beginning that I had 9 the first day. I had so many deals in the beginning that I just gave my referrals to the sales guys, like, "Here, just keep them busy." And those were the only deals that went through, were the ones that they had and they signed. And then I had a Dairy Queen, and well, I had a Subway, but they went with somebody else. But I did the Dairy Queen too, and thank God I made a nice amount of money off that. But
What's number one reason someone tells you they go with someone else? What do you usually hear? What kind of objections? Is it always a price or
side deals. They
side?
don't want to talk about it, but it's side deals. They don't want to tell you. They got people paying their deductibles. They got side deals going on, and that's what people don't talk about. And that's the damn truth. Because why, if every contractor, I mean, what's the big difference between the contractors? A little bit of service, craftsmanship is pretty much the same. There's difference, right? There's difference, but pretty much the same. Your service pretty much the same. Who you're dealing with and their commitment to you to the end is really the difference. And I like to say the amount of money. I believe that my clients get more money. My client, I care more. And when you care more, you get different results. And that's just a life thing. So one thing about me, my lessons in one area are transparent in another. I have a core belief system that I go through. And if you care, it's a relationship thing. Let's broaden it out, right? Let's generalize it. Relationships. If you care more about your girl, you're going to treat her different. Let's mainly guys. Let's talk about, say, if you were being sexual with your girl, right? Well, some guys just go in, but if you care more, you're going to slow down. You're going to take care of her more before you get there, right? Same thing with a business deal. You're going to care more in the beginning. You're going to get better results in the end. Because when I'm inspecting, if I'm just inspecting your roof and I walk through and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, it's cool, it's good. All right, you got damage. Boom, 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 going. Let me get the next one." I don't care that much. I care about my personal stuff. If I care about you more, I'm going to look at your house different. I'm going to look for different things. I'm going to look for different strategies. I know how to look for different money. So I actually give a shit and I care more. So when I care more about the transaction, the deal, the person, my customers get more because I'm looking for more. I'm slowing down with them more. I still, you know, so even though I spend more time with them, I'm getting probably more money per transaction, right? So when that happens, it just works out. What was the original question?
Hold on. Let's we'll get back to it in 1 second. This is really good. I don't want to go too far from. It's end of the year. I want to really nail this topic down on the receivables. Philip says, Schmucker, I call, text, and email. Hi, Mr. Smith. I just received the invoice on my desk for past due amount of dollar amount. Did you want to pay with cash, check, or just do a credit card over the phone? And then I want your opinion on this comment. He adds, if they start ghosting me, I do research and physically hunt them down and have sales guys and others stop at their house as many times per day as it takes to find them, or collections lean. Sounds too aggressive to me. What do you think?
I was just picturing this guy sitting the ladder up against the door, knocking on the bedroom window.
Would you do something like that?
Man, I get it. He's probably too much. He's way too aggressive. He's probably a little crazy, but I get it. I understand. I'm not saying it's right, but I understand. That's my answer. So to get back into what I was saying, I know I bounced around a lot, but the one guy was telling me a story where his customer came to him at the end and knew his profit and said, "No, you're making too much money here." And he shorted him $20,000. He goes, "You're not making that much money." And he just and we were talking about, what do you do? I had another customer. So when I was bouncing around the Aaron Bible, where I was going was, as I took a few select customers where I allowed them to just no cash up front. I built this lady's thing in right before Thanksgiving, and she didn't talk to me till freaking March when she needed something, when she wanted inspection on other roofs. I'm like, hello, I just built a $60,000 roof. How about that? You know, out of pocket. I paid your expense. And then we get some of those. So I knocked on her door. I felt like I partially felt like a stalker. I'm knocking on her door. I sent other salespeople to her house. I met her at church, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? God bless you." Isn't the Lord? Hey, oh, you tithe? Did you give to God? Oh, so you're giving. So you're in a giving mood. That's what you're in. So I was like, all right. So I popped up on her in different ways, and I had to leave her alone because I was getting real stalker energy when I was parked in her driveway. And I see the kids peeking out the blinds, and then and I knock on the door. Nobody answers the door. All the vehicles are there. Kids are peeking out the blinds. Nobody's answering. You call her phone. She tells you to come, but then she doesn't want to answer your phone when you get there. And then when company came and they opened the door for company, I was like, oh, this is just disrespectful. And then I was like, okay, what do you do? Because I think the other thing that we kind of struggle with in this industry is, where do you press your power? Where do you use power at? Where do you use your leverage? We can do liens. Is it worth it sometimes? Because that's the thing I was talking about with this guy with in the small town, the contractor. He goes, Mike, he goes, shit, I don't know what to do. I go get your damn money. And then he was like, well, all his thing that he was telling me was that he goes, all my customers, he's not a storm guy, he's a full builder.
Mhm.
He goes, all my customers are on about 11-mile radius of here. He goes, I'm the guy. That's why after they talked to me, they called him. He has it on lock.
Mhm.
He goes, well, I go, oh shit, I forgot about that. I go, so if you have a bad situation with him, if you force the hand here, he's going to spread bad word. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. People don't listen. People hear something bad, they don't know if it's true or not. Oh, this company does this. Oh, it's not worth it. They just go somewhere else, and you can lose an entire transaction or transactions,
Mhm.
relationships,
Book of business.
book of business.
Here's what I did. Here's what worked magic for me. I have this very, very firm email that I've been emailing to people who owe me money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, maybe I have advantage because I'm Russian. Like, people tell me all the time, they read my comments and my emails in my voice with accent. But here's what I do.
Yet.
I ask my team if we did what we're supposed to do, because there's always problems on the job. If you messed up, you have to, your punch list and stuff like that. People take advantage of it. It'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, but what about that? So
Yeah.
now they're holding $20,000 payment because of the dent on the siding. I mean,
Yes, Lord.
BS, right?
Yeah.
But for me, if we did what we're supposed to do, and I know for a fact that they got insurance money, they literally sitting in checks. So I send them this email and I say, hey, my name is Dmitry. I'm owner of the company. I know we did a job for you. In the QuickBooks, it tells you when you send invoice, you can see if it's been opened. So we
Mhm.
will resend invoice 3-4 times. So, and usually it's after like 2-3 weeks past due. It's like your invoice is past due like 21 days now. I'm giving you up until Friday. If I don't hear from you on Friday, Monday, I'm filing lien and I'm taking you to small claims court. If you have any questions, reply to this email. Otherwise, Monday, I'm taking legal actions. That's it. Dude, 95% of the time I get paid by Friday, but you have to give them couple days, like grace
Mhm.
period.
Yeah.
So I usually will send it like Monday, Tuesday,
Mhm.
give them until Friday.
Mhm.
So I want to sound as reasonable as I possibly can, but you also have to be as firm as you can be.
Mhm.
Because if they feel they can push, and here's the thing, and this is just business advice. Uh, like, you have subs, right? You
Mhm.
have vendors. Who do you pay always on time, and who do you pay like constantly over other when you have money troubles? It's people who are at your door more often and who is
Yeah.
firm, right?
Yeah.
If let's say someone works for you and they send you invoice, but they never follow up. They never, and you trying to balance your cash flow.
Yeah.
Will you make them a priority? Probably not.
Squeaky wheel.
Exactly. So you have to, as a contractor, you have to follow up on your invoices. We don't want to do it. We want to be nice guys. We don't want to follow up on estimates. We don't want to follow up on the invoices. But it's the reality. When you are the most, I don't want to say aggressive, but when you're on top of your game,
Yeah.
People will pay you.
You know what I started using too in AccuLinks? I started using automations.
Mm-hmm.
Automations help out. So you can set certain automations to say, after I change the status to this, it'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say, and you have your milestones, lead, prospect, approved, whatever. You can set little subcategories. So with each subcategory, I've made subcategories, built, built, invoice received, waiting for this, but and I made little categories, and we make automations with those so that there's automatic letters that go out that we don't have to. It makes our job easier. I had to figure out how to start getting smarter because I had the admin missing. So automations was the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Automation is like a ghost admin. When you change a status, an email goes out. Now you're maintaining your service. Well, now it helps because then you're saying some of these things, and I can say, okay, well, we sent you our first invoice on this date, or here's the second letter, or whatever. And I also started using an attorney. I've had resources for a while, but this is the year that I actually started using an attorney to collect some money, and so they've been okay, and I don't know if it's I don't want to say that they don't have an easy job because they're trying to get money, and obviously I couldn't get it, so I got to go to them. But man, I just had a lady who I had a house in New Prague. This was from last year, and was referral. Went to her house. Long story short, her house, roofing, siding, everything ended up being 81,000 with O&P and everything in it. Right now, the lady lost her job. Dad died. All the fucking fish died, whatever. She got all kinds of problems, right? Right. I knew it was coming. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And then so I go to build the roof, and I start the roof, and then she starts giving me all these hesitations. She finally gives me a down payment. I go get started. It's a Friday night. I had my guys drive the materials from ABC St. Paul to drop it off Friday night so they can get started in the morning. And they call back like, "Hey, amigo, she won't let us." I'm like, "What do you mean she won't let us? She gave me the check." And so I go, and then she has all these objections. I'm not going to be here. I need to watch. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. So she wouldn't even let them set the materials there. So I had to go put them back. I had to restock them. Then she wanted to stop doing business. So then she told me that the other family member died and I lost my job and blah, blah, blah. And then so I go, listen, we just need to get started. They paid for it. Your house is not insured anymore. And I'm trying to be practical. She was just stalling.
Just wanted to use money.
Yeah. So I said, all right, it got to the point where I was like, well, you can just do the cancellation fee. How about that? Just do the cancellation fee. Cancellation fee, 20%. And I don't know. And I'm just curious, how many of you guys actually use cancellation fees? I'm curious about that too in the comments. Do you guys actually really push cancellation fees? Do you enforce that? Do you cancel what if you get a whole contract with her? Like, so in this case, I wanted to do the roof. I was going to start with the roof, $81,000 contract, $25,000 roof, 51,000 something was other stuff. Do you charge 10% or 20% cancellation on the portion that you don't do if you just did the roof? Some of you guys' thoughts on that? So I wanted to get it started. She gave me a down payment. So finally I said, look, all right, forget it. Obviously I got a huge profit margin on this one. I mean, just the O&P alone, it's a huge margin.
Yep.
I said, listen, if I take the cancellation fee, I'm losing $16,000. Yeah, I get $16,000 and I walk away. That's nothing. I go, just pay the cancellation fee. If you got money problems, whatever, life happens. Guess what? Boom. God bless me. God bless you. Whatever. Give me $16,000. And I broke it down with her. I broke the financials down. I said, listen, here, let's just talk about it. Here's 20% O&P. That goes to nothing. That's boom. I go, you got all that is proved. So if you take the 20% for just from that alone, you get me out the way, and you can still find somebody to build this thing, and you're gonna, man, And then so I tried to show it to her, and I was like, listen, just
Did she do it?
Hell no, she didn't do it. And I had already deposited her check. She went back and put a stop payment on her check. That's what the one that pushed me to start using the contractor. I mean, excuse me, the collections attorney. So And he goes, well, she reversed the check. And I go, well, shit. He goes, well, we can threaten legal because she did write you a big check with intent. I go, do whatever you got to do. I don't care. But then, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. I had another lady, a restaurant up in Princeton. I got this 25-year-old damage approved. You know how that goes. And I got it was like, what was it, $67,000 for her claim. Got that paid for. Everything was great. The first day we met, I sat down. I ate the food at her restaurant. You want to pay full price? She was like, "Oh, you can pay for it? Nah, you're a customer, whatever." Because I'm gonna pay full price, and you gonna pay full price. So I'll pay for this taco. So then, at the end, I mean, everything was good. She was telling me stories about how people were shorting her. She was telling me that people would buy the food and they take a bite, they get to the end and they say it's bad and they don't want to pay. And we were talking about bad customers that take advantage. This freaking lady at the end sends me an email after everything's approved. Soon as overhand profit got approved, she goes, "Hey, everything was great. Appreciate your services. Me and my kids are going to take it from here." No, you're not. So I start contacting her. She doesn't reply to anything. I have my admin start sending her emails. She says we're harassing her. She goes, "You guys are harassing me. I'm feeling like you got like this is harassment." I'm like, "We're trying to build your roof. We're trying to contact you." And then so then I have a attorney letter. She goes, "My attorney is going to reply." I go, "Oh, all right. So we got to do attorney talk. All right, well, fine, whatever." I talked to my attorney. My attorney said, "Let's go." So we went back and forth, and I drove past her restaurant when it happened because I was like, let me just go back to the human aspect of this. Let me try to reconnect on a human level. I go pull up to the restaurant. The whole building's a different color. The roof is done. There's a dumpster out front. She already did the work, and she did the work. So by the time she told me her kids were going to take it over, it was already set. It was already set up and done.
Hmm.
I was like, this dirty.
Do you feel like it's much harder to work with the business owners than regular? Because business owners are very calculated. You cannot
Yeah,
blame it on them, but for them, it's a business. For them, it's another transaction. They, for them, you're a resource. You
yeah.
got them what they needed, and now they turn on put that business hat on. Now they're a
Yeah,
roofer.
they're different mentalities. They're different mentalities. There's pros and cons to each side. Like homeowners are. This depends on their experience level. Is this their first claim, or have they done this before? And I'm sure a customer in here in Minnesota or Florida, like say a Florida hurricane person, they've done that.
Or
Texas,
Texas, yeah.
boom, they're more educated than you are half the time. And then plus they all talk, right? So homeowners, there's good things with homeowners and there's cons with homeowners too, where the thing with homeowners, a lot of it comes down to the money. The money is the same is the common denominator. Because I think with homeowners, you get people who haven't seen this amount of money and they're giving it to you. And some people are just, I got some homeowners who are like, do your thing, and they're great. And I have some homeowners who are like, well, what's this for and what's that and how much do I get? And I'm like, oh Lord. And then the same thing with the business owners. The business owners, some of them are really easy. Some of them just want to get the transaction done, and some of them they want to know what they start processing how much they could have made if you weren't there. Well then you would have got nothing, or you might have got something but you wouldn't have got these results. So then they start doing it, and there's certain business owners. I won't say some of them out there because I still got great relationships with some of them, but there's some business owners and there's some certain stereotypes of certain people and industries and certain things where they're just they have a mean bite, and they know, and they want to hold on to what they got, or they want to make some sort of different kind of deal, or I know how much money you're making,
Yep.
you know.
Let's get back to comments really quick.
Okay.
Look who's here, Nikki DeAngelo.
Oh, what's up, Nikki?
As a salesperson and waiting on our final commissions, sometimes it can be helpful to involve the salesperson because sometimes the homeowner doesn't realize that they're holding up the salesperson's pay.
Mm-hmm.
100% agree. We always have sales guys reaching out, following up. But uh, people who don't want to pay, they will also start ghosting the sales rep as well
Yeah.
all the time. Nikki says, as a salesperson, and when we are waiting on our final commissions, it's beneficial for us to get involved because we have the good relationship with them.
Yeah, and that's an important part to not blow over that, because I think sometimes you think back from the back office perspective, you're looking at the numbers, you're thinking about the math. You can't forget about the human aspect of that. And you can't undervalue. Sometimes it may be easy because you think, the salesperson's out there and, you did your part, go back to producing and doing that stuff. And sometimes you need to remember, because what's good is as an owner, you know, sometimes you're in a position of a coach, right? And a good coach can be a good coach and not be a good player, and vice versa. I think it's good. Like, for example, for me, I think I'm the player who became a coach. So you have to not forget that you are a player and how valuable the player is. A salesperson, when you're the sales guy, you can't forget that, hey, I don't care if you are the owner of the company, you don't know this guy like I know this guy. You don't know his personality, the wife, the nuances, the side agreements that I know he wanted to make, or what I was up against, or mood, or how to get them. You have to trust that. So communication is really good, to keep that communication, open communication with the salesperson, and don't forget to just go around them and say, "Hey, no, this is collections, we got it." Keep them involved. That's smart advice, because they're the representative more so. They're the relationship. And if somebody comes in now, you might come in as a back office guy to collect your money. You don't have the same relationship with that person.
Yep.
You didn't bond that day with them.
One thing I want to say to all of those guys who don't understand how roofing companies go bankrupt, you know how well we say systems and processes, systems and processes. Well, collection is one of those systems and processes that you have to build. I remember every freaking year, when you have especially at the end of the season, your receivables are so big. I recently went to big companies, Sam Kohler, who does 17 million this year. They have a couple $1 million in receivables. So all these companies, I mean, Aaron Bible, he's gonna have millions in receivables now. So you have to think about it. You have to be intentional. You have to have a strategy plan. They don't teach it in college how to collect money in the roofing business, but how you do it, we literally would write every single name who owes us on the board, and we would assign people who would be point of contact. Like if I don't have enough money to pay payroll this coming Friday, and I have 38 people owing me money, you have to chase it. It's a task, it's a job for entire team. In my company, anybody can collect the money. And that's one thing that you have to do is oftentimes we have that accountant, which is, think about it, if accountant is sick, not in office for a day or two, and someone wants to pay you, like anyone in your business should be able to pick up a check or collect the
Mhm.
money. It could be sales rep, it could be production manager, whoever, it could be crew leader, it could be your employee who picks up a yard sign. If they see the homeowner, but you have to train them, you have to give them that authority, that, hey, Jesus, you go in there, pick up a check. If you see the homeowner, if he offers you to bring a check to the office, don't tell them no. You'll be surprised how many companies are not equipped or trained to do that. Homeowner would call you and say, hey, you guys finished my job, can I pay? Your receptionist should know what to say exactly, because that's a priority. And so many homeowner contractors don't have that system.
Yeah, so I got two questions. So one, I just had that happen where a homeowner, and they were what do you call it, a foreigner, different country. They came here, English second language to them. They came out and they just want to hand the check to whoever's there, right?
Hmm.
You did roof, you get money. And my crew leader called me after they left and said, "Hey, they go get the money." They tried to give it to that person, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I drove over there, and they were gone, and nobody answered the door, and I didn't get the money for another 2 weeks, timing, whatever. And I'm like, and I thought about that. I'm like, should I have let that person take the check? And then, so one, have you done that before?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. And then
that's exactly how we did it. Anyone should be able to collection is so important, because when people are ready to pay, you want to grab it.
yeah, yeah,
Because like 2 weeks later,
yeah,
something might change.
yeah,
You might have a leak, you
yeah,
might have whatever.
yeah. Another question. So, there's that old model buy, sell, build, collect. You heard that before?
Hmm.
So the point is that there's an incentive on the collecting portion. Do you recommend that if somebody else, if you have a collection, the sales guy, and if Nikki just commented, and if Nikki goes and collects your money, what does Nikki get?
I don't think she should be getting it. It's a favor. It's a teamwork. You know, I do something for you, you do something. The same with inspections. You go meet my adjuster. Does it always mean that you get my commission? No, but maybe I'll do it for you later. You collect the check for me, I'll do something for you. I mean, whatever, buy lunch, dinner, whatever. I mean, it's
I've had both. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about life. There's always balance and dualities, right? So I think I used to, hey, if it's one at a time, if it's a special occasion, whatever. If it becomes habitual, what I've realized as an owner is you have to have something in writing because it can be because everybody doesn't have the same relationships, right? If we work together, I'm like, "Oh, whatever, I'll cover you. I got your adjustment,
Mhm.
whatever." But if it's the third or fourth or sixth time, and if I got another one, all right, now I'm not doing something. Now how do you do that? And if your relationship with that person isn't as tight, like you might have a senior person and then you got a newbie and somebody's doing something for the other person, that same relationship isn't there, and one person's time might be more valuable. Say, I need you to come help me with an inspection. Well, it's the first day after a storm. Time is everything. I don't got time to drive half an hour this direction and spend an hour with you. I just lost two deals. So what I did was I asked around other industry people, and so I haven't enforced it this year, but I just wrote up a new pay plan, and not instead of the thirds with sell, build, collect, I broke it down into four sections. And I don't know the exact titles, but I gave them. But essentially, it was the sale, it was the adjustment, it was the color select, and then and then the finalization of the process. And each portion was 25% of your commissions because you have to have something in writing in
Mhm.
case somebody leaves. Because
Exactly.
if you leave,
So if they didn't collect,
if you
no,
didn't collect, if you
someone else have to do
boom,
it.
yeah, if you leave at this stage, or what happens if, you came in on the second half
And
of a
it's
deal?
sales guys never agree to it. Comment guys if you if you agree. But people, so many salespeople in this industry think that their job is to sell the job, and after they got like, and they all that's how they count their money.
Yeah,
You know, I brought you 100 contracts at $1 million. You owe me 100K.
yeah,
I mean, they don't care about picking up collars, doing like all the
nothing.
paperwork, or
Ugh.
collecting payments at the end. They already count that you owe them. If for God's for sake, like they quit on you, you still owe that
Oh,
money. You're
yeah.
not gonna, stiff them.
You know
You're
what?
gonna.
I had so many people just literally drop off a check on a, "Here's a check. Where's my money?" What the f Where's the customer? What's the name? What's the color? What are we doing? What is this for?
we,
Or
we have one guy a couple of years ago. So he came here from, I think he was out of state, Colorado, and typical storm chaser. And
Mhm,
I don't hire those, but he's like, I don't need your leads, I'm gonna go knock doors, whatever. Did not hear from the guy for 6 weeks. He doesn't want to come for training. He's not a team player, right?
mhm,
But he wants to work for us, that's fine. 6 weeks later, we start getting complaints. He was taking checks, so he have manila folders in his truck. I'm talking about like 12, 14 jobs. He has money in them, and he was signing jobs, putting create in job nimbus. He would create a file and stuff, collecting payments, but never come to the office. People start calling, complaining. We got one negative review that lady gave him a check and for 2 weeks did not hear from anyone.
mhm.
And we don't have a folder in the office. So I'm like calling the guy. I'm like, Ryan, I apologize. It's not working out. Just bring us whatever you have. I'll cut you a check. He brings 12 to 14 folders, drops it on my desk. It's the first time I see it, right? He's like,
Did you have a CRM?
yeah,
Did he use it?
no. So he drops the folders like, I need to get paid right now. I'm like, it'll take me like a day to go through these. I
Yeah,
want to double check like what are you selling?
yeah.
Let me see what's going on. And he went to Colorado, and I've been mailing him checks after. And he's like, "Oh, I heard that before, that I'm gonna get paid." I'm like, "What do you want me to do? You want me to blindly write you check what's in that folder? What kind of game is
Yeah,
this?"
and you see how he brought his negativity to your environment?
Kind of.
That manila was his lack of trust. He was like, "I don't trust you. I'm gonna control the money."
But you cannot well, and it's, I think it was just negligence. Like, he was not part of the culture. He was there are a lot of
But
people
why
like
would he
that.
turn in the check though?
He did not care for it. Like, he was not he didn't want to play alone, I guess. He
Mm,
was playing his own game. in his own world. He's
Yeah.
like, this is how I do it. He did not care for that check. He just was selling, 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 but he was on lone wolf, right? Like we have a
Yeah.
lot of people like that who are
Yeah.
not a team players. And that's what people don't understand in this business, how much effort it takes to connect this puzzle. You have
Mhm.
so many individuals like that. You have to deal with the salespeople. I mean, they're like kids. You have to babysit them.
Mhm.
I mean, I have 5 kids at home, and then you have a couple sales guys on your team who have to babysit with the crap like that. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation?
Man, you have to pay attention to them, and I've been guilty of trusting the system. That was part of my traffic jam that I had this year. Was I got lazy. I trusted the system. I thought it was automated and everything was working perfect, and I just went out and sold my own deals and fine tune the issues or supplementing or just micromanage certain areas. But what happens is what I learned this year is you have to stay involved, even if you think it's good. You better go check on it. Just because it's quiet. Ryan was quiet. You didn't know what was going on. Just because
Yeah,
it's quiet, you better.
you have to meet, like, you can't let it go for too long
Yeah.
because there's something always happening. In Russia, we have a saying, in the calm waters, in the calm waters, there's they will Satan lives. Like
Mm.
if it's too calm, like there's something very bad
See,
happening
it's
on
like it's like the kids, if they're quiet, you're like, "Hold on, wait
yeah, so yeah,
a minute."
kids, great example. The same thing here. So if it's too quiet, by the way, like everybody who ever stole from me or did like the shady stuff, it was the quiet game.
Mhm.
You kind of like, like they're not loud, they're not telling you
Yeah.
what intentions are,
Yeah.
but then you find out like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like you did what?
Yeah, right?
Let's read a couple comments. Mathus via can't pronounce this. Also find collection attorney. They will collect what you are owed. They take 20% fee. 80% is better than nothing. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what I did.
he said, heck yeah, liens is worth it. Private investors will buy those liens in a beat. Yet it's a small discount, but you will get money for it. I love liens. The thing about liens, guys, is you have to file them just by default. Like, don't even think about it. If they
Mhm.
owe you money 30 days, that's your right. Just do it. You never know when you're going to get paid.
Just cost
It,
of business?
it could be 3 years. Like, I have people who try to sell their house 3 years later, and then it's a different phone call. They're calling you, they're begging you,
Oh, man, I
and,
wish.
because they can't sell the house, right?
Yeah.
So I remember one guy, it was like $1,500. I still file a lien. He paid me 3 grand, like 2 years later, and it's your relationship with money. I hear people say it all the time, like, "Oh, it's not worth in cost of business." I'm like, you know what? I have 5 kids, and you know how many times I did not buy something because it cost a lot. And it's like, oh, I'm not gonna buy that. It's too much money. So, but then when I hear business owners saying, "Oh, it's $1,500, 2,000, $5,000 cost of," I mean, are you kidding me? Like maybe you have billions of dollars to spend, but for me, the way I look at the $3,000 bill, it's something that I can rent a cabin for 2 days and build memories with my kids. Sometimes I will not go to cabin because it's $3,000. I
Mhm.
can't go every evening, every weekend. But now you're telling me that I should forget about it and move on. No, and I remember that I got $1,500.
Mm.
I keep adding late fees because my accountant will go and all past due invoices, just add a fee, add a fee, add a fee, and then it's 3 grand.
Yeah.
And then his realtor calls like, "Hey, we need you to do this. You're
Oh.
selling the house." Okay, done.
I think it's dope. I think I'm gonna take a serious look at that, at doing that with probably everyone. Yeah, because there's lots of them. You have a trust for the person. You just have this trust. You're like, oh, I trust they're gonna pay. And homeowner, that's the other thing. They're so good at like flipping it on you. Like, no, like they don't have, like, we're the people who have to earn trust. No, this is a relationship. It's
It goes
mutual.
both
Goes
ways.
both ways. And because of these sayings, the customer's always right, or Better Business Bureau or whatever, people, or the news is really good at scaring people at making, oh, consumer awareness and consumer this and that. And there's just this automatic thought that we have to earn the trust, and it's not always like that, because you do have to worry about the homeowner sometimes, and filing those liens might be a real smart thing for people to put into business. Seriously.
Love it. Storm busting 43 is asking a question. Is a verbal agreement on the percentage of commission on total sales valid? I need some advice. Thanks.
I think that's a personal thing. If you're doing a verbal agreement on your percentage of commission on the total sales. So is your agreement of what you're getting paid with the company on verbal? Hey, that's go ahead.
Well, here's how I actually just had this situation with someone recently. They have a big a little case debate, and they settled. Someone have to take someone to court because they were not paying. Sales guy were taking company to court, and here's how they proved it. So if you have a verbal agreement on the sales commissions, and you can prove it, like you have CRM, you can if you already have a numbers, like let's say you sell 10 jobs and you got paid
Well,
commissions on 10 jobs, and then they don't pay you on other 10. Essentially what the first 10 jobs is a proof. Think about how you standing in front of the judge and explaining your case, and judge will ask very simple question to other parties, like, all right, you paid him 10% on this 10 jobs, why you did not pay him 10% on this 10 jobs. Even if you don't have a contract,
yeah,
it's obvious, that agreement took place sometime in the
yeah.
past.
So if it gets to that, yeah, I agree to that. You can use the history to show the standard, right?
Hmm.
But I do think it's wise. I would storm busting 43. Sounds like some kinky shit. Stop. But I think that you should get that in writing, at least a text.
I don't know why people would not do it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
why
mean,
would you work for anyone without
well,
it?
storm. His name's. I'm gonna go after his name. He's storm busting, right? So he's just busting in the areas, hitting the storm. So he's just running up in there. He's the guy that's coming into
In
an
his
area,
early 40s.
and he's 43. Yeah, he just got on YouTube. Look at his name. No, I even got a picture up.
Oh.
So he's just getting in there. So he's chasing the storms, and he's probably the guy that goes into an area. You have to make a quick decision because you're coming in at the storm, so you're coming in a rush decision. Because if you were taking your time and it was a slow hire and you were there and you lived there and it was this slow brewing thing where you just got a job and you moved in, you could have the time to do those things. I think that you would have time to cover those things. I think those things get missed when you're in a hurry. When are you in a hurry after a storm when you have fast hires that automatically come in from different areas and then you make a quick agreement with them? And then you go, oh shit, I thought you said this. Well, no, I said that. Well, you said 50%. Well, no, I meant 50% after the office fee. And then, well, then, and then it gets frustrating. So always protect yourself. At least shoot it over with a text. Okay, so if I shake my hand with you and we make an agreement, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll be like, hey, so just as a reminder, we said this. Hey, appreciate it. Boom. So then and then screenshot it, save it in your favorites.
Here's what I want to say, guys. Less is more. Like, less activity, less craziness. Storm hits, everybody goes crazy. I would say meditate for one day. Just take a break. I mean, if you don't have time
When he's
to
meditating, I'm knocking on all them doors, all of them.
exactly, but this is where all troubles come. So when we move too fast, that's where you get an accident. I love the billboard here in Minneapolis somewhere. It says, if you're texting, who is driving? Like, if you right, like,
Autopilot.
yeah, by Tesla.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, when you're constantly moving and you don't have time to stop, that's where theft happening, that's where mistakes in the jobs happening.
Yeah.
How much does it cost your business to do too much, too soon, too fast? We chase this fast cash. I mean, let's say you're trying to catch $10 million. I mean, you could do five and maybe make the same amount of money
Hmm.
with less mistakes, less people. How much does it? I mean, how many activities we do that cost us our time, which is like the biggest asset that you have is your time. How much to train an employee, fire employee? Like, it's time to go through people. It's time.
For me, one thing that I've been guilty of skipping in the past is some of the training because a lot of people do what's been done to them. You parent how your parents parented you.
Hmm.
You trained how
Hmm.
you got trained. And a lot of people, I think a lot of the old heads in this industry just got pushed in the water. One thing, I mean, we're talking a lot about business process and the financing and the issues. There's no school. I mean, I know you got yours. There's the plug
Yeah.
roofing school, but which is actually now makes sense. It's a good name because we think about it. We don't have education service for this thing. I, I didn't have anybody sit me down and say, all right, here's how you pay. Because I wonder that all the time. Because I think this year I'm going to try to do a little scaling and a little growth. But it's like, what do you pay this person? Do you pay salary? Do you pay commission? Do you do half and half? Do you do this? Do you do that? How do you do this? When do you do this? You have to talk to other people. And that's one great thing that's um for me that I found through a lot of the networking with people around the country from conferences and everything else is that well then you make industry friends and you guys can talk to each other because nobody's going to really talk to anybody in your own market.
Absolutely. Hook Agency have a question for you. Um, when we're doing our door knocking versus digital marketing and
What's
rep,
up,
Mike,
Tim?
I know you got time during the winter.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, hey, we were talking about that earlier in the car. We were talking about you. We were one of them in the car. I was telling Dmitry that there were some people I did songs for because people, I rap too. So Tim came. That's funny you said that. He has a good idea, right? So people, I did music. I do music for fun. When I get bored in the wintertime, I make something up. I did shirts. I did bug sprays. I did whatever. I get bored and I just do something, right? So I did. So I used to do some. I used to rap back in the day, and the people that I were around were just they were in it for the reasons that I wasn't in it for, and I was turned off by that, and it turned me off to the whole industry. So I left it alone. And but I miss it. I'm finding myself rapping in the shower in the car like everybody does. And then so I was like, damn, I really love this stuff. Like I like this shit. And then
Have
so
you done anything about roofing?
um not officially, right? But I'm going to. So I'm trying to please this thing that I like. Like if you couldn't do everybody knows fucking Dmitry loves CrossFit. If you couldn't do CrossFit or working out, you'd start to go crazy. You'd have an itch and you'd have a way to do it. I mean, he's got freaking weights 20 feet off camera over there. This is real with him, and I'm not talking about weights. I'm talking about like squat machine. This is real. So the thing with music, I incorporate that, and I just set up my studio in my office just like after Black Friday. Like I bought the desk and everything else, and I was like, okay, I'm not trying to be Jay-Z. I'm not trying to be a full rapper, but I just like doing it. It's fun, and sometimes
Do you have it out? Do you have why don't you start like TikTok or something?
well, I have some TikTok. I play around with TikTok. I just do like random, BS. Just
But with the music, I'm talking about like music.
with music, I have some stuff on YouTube. My nickname is Mike Smooth, SMOOVE, right? That came from so people are like, oh, Smooth, where'd that come from? I was in the mortgage industry, and the reps used to come into the office, and I was handling a problem on the phone. I had it on speakerphone, and she happened to just come in and sit down, right? And then I was just like, hold on. And I put it on mute. I said, you can either stay or you can go and come back later. She's like, oh, I'll wait. So I put it back on mute, and I'm handling this problem. I'm on the phone. There was a irate customer about whatever the situation was. And while I was talking to them, I just controlled the situation. I calmed them down. I just did my thing, right? And I noticed that her mentality went from doing what she was just doing some work, and then she put her work down, and then she started watching me. Then she started leaning in, and then she was like, her eyes were like this, and her mouth got open. And pretty soon, by the time I got off the phone call and I stopped looking at her and I hung up the phone eventually, I look up. By the time I looked up, she was gone. She goes like this. She goes, you are smooth, right? Just like that, right? And then so she walks around the office. She was like telling everybody, she was like, Mike is smooth. And then so it was like the inside joke because she was like
Smooth Mike.
Yeah, she was like, Mike is smooth. So everybody was calling Mike smooth, So
How much does it help you in sales now?
Oh, everything, man. It's a way of life, man. That's why it's a way of life, man. It just is, man. It's like I said, everything crosses over to each other. So it's all about your perspective and understanding on everything. So one thing goes into the other. So that's where the Mike Smooth thing came from, with really the way I handle it and a little bit of the ladies thing. And it was just a life thing, you know what I'm saying? So it just one thing led to another. But so I do have some music out there for fun. 2 years ago, I actually did some music. I just got bored over the winter time, right around COVID. So then I just made about like 4 or 5 songs. I probably made like 10, 15 songs, but I only put out like 4 or 5 for fun, just I have a buddy, and if somebody calls me, I'll go. I don't usually do it on my own, but if somebody says, hey, come to the studio, all right, I'll come. So then now I got like 4 or 5 songs with this guy because he's cool. My buddy Gabe hit me up, and we did some songs together, and they're cool. And actually some stuff charted, which was interesting. But I can't go be a rapper, right? So how do you solve this, your personal life habits, and bring it into work? Well, last year, was it? I think last year, yeah, I was messing with Anthony, and we were going to a boot camp for solar. And I was going out there and I was like, man, I need to get on this TikTok thing. Like, I know I'm acting old. Like I mess around on TikTok, but I just do like bare minimum just to make me get used to it. So, and then eventually I'll start like increasing my quality and content. But right now I'm doing it just to do it, right? Just to do the action, the motion. Excuse me. So shout out to Ben too. That's what Ben used to say. He say, man, just do the action and you'll get the results later too.
Oh,
You
I
know?
love Ben.
Yeah, that's the
How
homie,
close
man.
you were with the Ben?
Oh man,
Ben Minchaka
yeah,
in Love and
yeah,
Memory.
yeah. Ben was man, that was the homie, man. We were getting closer. Right when these storms happened in May, we started getting real close. Like that's when we started really getting like we were kind of, hey, let's get together. We've been doing that for years and got together once or twice. But we started seeing each other more on a frequent basis when the storms happened because I called him for some Hardy board thing, and then we started talking and we started getting more dinners. And always gives us he always, you know,
Ben never could say no to anyone. Like if you call Ben and ask to meet or ask a question, he always will find time for
yeah,
it.
he always would give you compliments too. He said that, you know, he was like his interview with you, the first one he did,
Mhm.
he was like that changed his life. And a lot of the roofing school guy, so I don't know what you guys did, but you did a lot of roofing school stuff. And I guess you've had about some speaking things.
Mhm.
And he was really pushing me to do the same thing too. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know how to charge people. I don't know. You know, so we
You comment below if you would want to learn from Mike. Like here's what you can teach people. There are a lot of people on social now who, how do you call them, relationship coaches.
yeah.
I mean, to me, you're not even a sales coach. You're smooth, and it's a talent. Like so many people lack it, especially brand new in business, like business owners who are shy. They
Yeah.
lack confidence. Can you teach confidence? Like,
Oh,
can
yeah.
you learn it?
Oh, yeah, I think you can.
Give me. Let's say I'm a very shy sales rep or business owner. How do you teach me confidence?
I find what you're comfortable with first.
Okay.
You gotta find out where you're comfortable at first. It's just like if you were going out on into anything, you have a comfort zone, and where's your comfort area first? You teach you teach what you're good at. You don't if you were gonna play a sport, you're not gonna go put somebody in the area that they're bad at. You're gonna say, "Oh, okay, well, you're good with dribbling the ball. Okay, well, just dribble. Man, you're good at dribbling. You got this. Okay, now what if you just dribble and then you practice, you know, shooting, whatever, but you gradually introduce what they're not and what they're not used to, and you teach people to find what they are good at within that category because there's always subcategories. So I think one of the things I said last time I was on here, I talked about finding something to a way to love what you're doing, even when you if you lost the love for something, a relationship, your industry, your work, whatever, find something in it that you love. Well, change that word love to to confident. Find something that you're confident with in this. Well, I don't. Okay, so to homeowners, all right, so I don't want to go knock on this big scary door because I don't know what's behind that door and I don't know what they're going to say and shit. They're going to see me nervous and I don't. Oh fuck! Shit. I hate this. I'm gonna hire somebody. Just buy a lead. You know, so you didn't freak yourself out before anything even happened. Okay, first of all, my thing is I just like if I had a problem phone call, I would just start dialing and I'll figure it out by the time I pick up the phone. Improv. This industry, first of all, get good at improv. This industry is an improv industry. The more training you have, the better you're at improv. But
Mm.
sales is a performance job. So it's improv. So get performance is good, sales training is good, and improv is good. So get good at improv, get good at being honest with yourself. If you make a mistake, great. The more honest you are, if you make a mistake, that means you're human. So get comfortable even with your flaws. My flaw is I might mess up on my script. Okay, well, that makes you human. That means you're not good at script. That means you have more in common with that person than you think. So if you get there, you talk to the person. Well, I don't want to do sales because I hate sales. I just was at the gym last night, and a guy I invited him to come meet with me in a few months before right before the season starts. He's like, "Well, I don't know." He's like, I don't like sales." I go, dude, you know how many times I hear that? You don't like sales because you have a definition of what sales is. Your perception is holding you back. You think sales is bad because you're thinking of a salesperson who's pushing their agenda and their idea. You're not thinking that you're just helping somebody and providing a service and they just call it a sales guy. That's, sales sounds bad, but you're good at helping people. You know what you're doing. You're coming here with good intent. Your intent's good, right? Right? Okay. You actually have a real purpose. You're really going to help somebody and they actually need what you're doing. What else do we really need besides that? The only thing in between that are these little spaces, and in between those little spaces, that's where some of the sales skills can happen. But if you start off with a foundation, people will see the human in you, and then you just go from there and just start by just talking to a person.
I want to hear your some of your best pickup lines.
Best pickup lines.
Yep.
Rewind to the last one. He said this on the last one too. Dmitry trying to figure it out. My pickup line. I never really had too much pickup lines.
Opening. How do you start talking to strangers?
If it was the first one, with the part of my head was a female. If it was a female, I was talking to a female. Yeah, you might want to talk. I'll give some tips to guys. Like find a genuine compliment to give to a female. That's probably not the most typical. Oh, you're sexy. Oh, you got pretty eyes, big tits. Oh yeah, cool. Like that's no. Compliment her sweater. Compliment her shirt, her shoes. Man, look at you. Compliment. Yo, try this. Compliment a girl's shoe game, or her purse, or the color of lipstick that she chose. Those are 3 slightly abnormal things that show that you're paying attention to detail. Shows you're a little bit different. Look somebody in the eyes when you talk to them. Ask a question, and here's the secret. Listen. Listen to the answer. Hear what they actually have to say, and respond to what they're saying, and instead of just moving on your own agenda. And I think some people get nervous and they just drive through things, and then go back to the caring thing. When you care, tell yourself, sometimes you tell yourself in the head, you got to say, I care about what I'm doing. Okay, I care about this person. I care to hear what they have to say. I care. Okay. You just change your energy, because you went from boom, big bad dude, I'm about to go get some whatever, go get the situation or the girl or whatever, to I'm here open-minded again. I'm caring. I'm here to care. And when you care, you're listening, and you come in with a kind of you even see that even the tone change. You got a little more gentle, and you once you change yourself, people feel that energy and match their energy. That stuff, you've heard some of that before, mirroring people. That don't blow over that stuff. That stuff is real, because if you're a person that's like this, and you got some people like this, and they want to walk around, they talk like this all the time. And if they talk to you like this, and if you come to them, if you talk to them like this, and they're not that kind of person, well, you're going to kind of freak them out. They're going to be like, what's going on with your head? But you're like, hey, this is how I really think. But if you got a person that, like, say, if you're down south and you happen to be in Texas, well, they want you to breathe in between when you talk. Because if you're just one of them fast talking people, you need to slow down, and you need to match that person's energy. Because if you don't fit.
So my question is this for you: like, you build a connection with a homeowner, with a random customer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, and why do we lose them, and how do we win them back? You shared few scenarios where very common in storm chasing industry. You sold them on you first,
Mm-hmm.
you got them a deal, and then they shopping you after. Does it mean that you never sold them in the first place? Does it mean that you never actually build a connection, or like, you know what I mean? Like
Sometimes you didn't close it off right. Sometimes you just didn't close it off right, or sometimes
how
you,
can you bring them back? Can you close? Because it's much harder, almost impossible to do it again. Contractors want to fight over it all the time. Like, I did all the work. I did. You can't do that to me, and they
yeah.
start crying.
Make sure it's you have to have it happen first. You have to be hurt to know.
Yeah,
You gotta
it hurts.
yeah, you gotta get hurt first. And then you think about I'll think about when I walk away. Okay, well, let's take door to door. So from when you leave one door, you go to the next. What are you thinking about in between that last house when you're closing, or you're going to the next door or appointment? I play back in my head. One thing that might be good for people too, pull out your phone and put on your little voice recorder thing, and put in your pocket. Let it hang out your little pocket a little bit, or hold it in your hand and record yourself. And then when you get bored, go back and then delete it if you didn't find any value there. If you lost a customer, go back and listen to where you lost them. Did I say something? Was I talking when they were talking? Did they ask me a question like I didn't answer it? Like I didn't answer Tim's question about when's he getting his song yet? Because the subject in life changes. You'll get your song soon. It's winter time. Let's go, man. By the way, we're good.
That's brutal. I'm telling you right now. Listening to yourself is brutal.
Yeah.
Like, my 7-year-old daughter was doing something the other day. She did not know I'm recording her, but I did.
Mhm.
And she told, like, and then I start playing it, and she's like, I hate my voice. And she always leaves the room. Like, this is how I felt. When you started recording yourself, audio or video or both, I'm telling you right now, you will be surprised how bad you are at what you do,
Man,
because you think you're way better than you are because you don't see
man.
yourself from the side.
Yes.
And if you want to see what kind of manager you are, record your sales meeting, secretly record it. Like, don't use it against your
Yeah.
employees and stuff, but have a sales meeting or whatever, like company meeting, record the meeting, record you talk, and then rewatch it. When I first time did it, I hated myself. I'm like, why people even work for me? Like, I'm not good at it. Like, but I thought I'm decent, but
Yeah.
we're not. We're
Yeah.
way worse than we think we are.
Yeah, you have yeah, that's a really good gem is to record yourself because with me, I talk fast, my brain moves so fast, and I related to like listening to Elon Musk one time, and he was talking about how his brain. I'm like Elon and Kanye. That's how my brain's all over the place. I'm always thinking about a million things, and sometimes that comes out through my voice, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to slow down. I need to breathe,
Hmm.
or people that cut people off. Think about what you don't like when somebody talks to you. Think about you. Oh, that person always cuts me off. You'll never tell them. Well, your customers the same way because they don't even know you. They just met you, so they're
Yeah.
just going to smile. Especially Minnesota, they're going to just smile and they're going to wait for you to leave, and then they're going to say, you know,
I love it when it's the best with the salespeople. Salespeople, you are so delusional most of the time when you don't sell. Give someone a lead, they come back to your office. How did it go? Oh, good. They're gonna buy from me.
mm,
How many times you heard it?
all the time. Where's the
It went really well.
yeah,
They're gonna go with me. They just need to think about it a little bit
yeah, yeah,
more.
yeah.
Until they don't.
I noticed there was a different sign in your yard. What happened? They're thinking about it with them too. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the recording yourself is good. Talking to people, listening to people, closing it off good. It's nothing wrong with asking people, hey, is there something I forget? Ask the person, is there something I didn't cover? What and make the assumption that they still have questions because they're not going to tell you. Say, what questions do you have? Don't ask them, do they have questions? You know that. Don't ask do, can, will, do you this? Can I get on your roof? Will I? Don't ask those questions. Ask a different kind of questions. Change the front of the question. So, what questions do you have? I know you got some questions. What did I cover? What do you kind of don't understand? Oh, okay. Well, if you don't, just text it to me.
But
Call me.
then, no matter what you did, let's say you lost a deal. What do you do?
I have lost deals before. I've went back, and it depends on what mood I'm in. I sometimes I'll get out and I'll go knock on the person's door. I say, hey, and I make sure I got a big smile. I don't want them to feel intimidated. And I'll say, hey, well, oh, you want somebody else? Oh, I know those guys. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, let me just ask you for my training. This is my own for my training purposes. What was it about them? What did they say? I mean, what was it me? That's I talk fast, don't I? Or what was it? What was the difference? I will straight up ask them, guys, don't be afraid to ask the question because you might get the answer. And if you get the answer once, well, then you can change that about yourself.
Hmm.
Oh, you went with the other person because they pulled out a freaking picture book. You know how many pictures I got? I didn't know you were interested in pictures. I thought I don't care about that. I didn't know you cared about that. And or they went with them for certain.
What if it's a price?
If it's a price, well, then let's talk about it. Is price what you're going to base your decision off? I'll ask them, say, well, what did you finally base your decision off of? Because you talked to 3 or a few guys. So if I win the deal, I'll ask them why. Well, what was it that you like about me? What did I say? That was, I'm not the first guy you talked to, am I? No. Okay, cool. Well, why me? Excuse me. And I ask them why me. And then if it comes down to price, and if I lost them or won, I will still ask them, what did you base your decision off of? If you base your decision off of price, it's all price for you? Okay, well, it's all price for you. I can help you with the price. I mean, if it came down to the price, but let me show you where there's some other value. I use stories a lot. I love to talk to people. I slick use stories as objection blocking, and I do it so naturally half the time I don't even notice I'm doing it because I'm so programmed to just tell stories. If I think somebody's going to do something to me, I tell them a story without being really obvious, but I tell them slick stories about when I happened before or how I overcame that or how the other person made the mistake of going by price and how, oh man, da da da. I was like, oh yeah, I just fixed the roof like that, man. Yeah, they went with somebody else because they got a cheaper price, but now they're doing this and my customers get this and I'll pull them out. What I've started to do now, I've printed out before and afters instead of before and after pictures. I print off before and after supplementing because I don't think anybody gives a shit what color your roof is before. It was brown, now it's black. Who cares? Nobody gives a shit. That's your ego. Oh, look at my house. I got this. Nobody cares. People care about the story.
I like it.
If I'm going to show a house, I'm going to tell the story. Well, here's this house. Yeah, okay, cool. I got a big mansion, whatever. Cool, great. Here's the story. This guy went with another company. He had a problem here and he had a financial problem because the truth at the end of the day, nobody get, I get real, the more frustrated I get, the more blunt I get. And I'll tell people, yeah, I'm the owner. Nobody gives, I don't give a shit about shingles. I don't give a shit about the shingles, the ceiling. I got somebody for that. I care about money. You care about money. Let's talk about your financial situation. Here's how I'm going to solve. You have a financial problem and I'm going to solve your financial problem through the means of construction. So because you're gonna have to pay for this either way, right? So if you I was dealing with this townhome place and they have what they call the kitty, which is like their reserve, right? And they're like, so we have this money in reserve, we're gonna do this. Okay, well, what's the reserve for? The reserve for the roof? Okay, so you're roofing together is all about $300,000, $400,000, right? How much you guys got? You got about half that? Okay, cool. Well, how long did it take you to get that? I went through the same situation with the church. You got the church fund. And then so well, how long did it take you to get that money? Okay, well, if you spend that money, if you if I were to allow you to spend that money on something else, how much value would that be to you? I'm sure you got other things to spend money on, right? Okay, cool. Well, then allow me to help you get the money for your roof. Let me show you why your insurance company is actually adverse your interest. Not saying they're bad, not saying they don't give a shit. If it's broken, it's obvious, they'll fix it. But proof of burden is on the policyholder. You have to prove it. Do you know how to prove some of these things? That's why I stopped showing pictures because pictures to me is just it's just ego. So I have a I mean like a sales pitch book now, and as soon as I open it up, first thing is the logo. Second thing is all the logos they care about. Angie's List, fucking Better Business Bureau, whatever. So I got the little logos, and I don't even talk about it. I just blow past it because I know they're looking. So I just here's my picture, boom. You see the pictures there. You're comfortable. Go look it up. I'm on these websites. Got the great ratings, whatever. And then I go here. This is this book is based off my personality. I got pictures in here. They're in the back. What if we don't get to it? No big deal. Let's talk about the money. I'm going straight to the money. Here's my before and after. You want to see my before and after pictures? This claim was 5,000. When I got done, it was 45,000. Oh, this one he got rejected by his insurance company. I tell scenarios because I'm just poking them. Does that hurt? Did that hurt? Oh, right there. There's your soft spot. Oh, okay. So yeah, you're going to get approved. Yeah, because they know. Oh, my insurance company's going to take care of me. Yeah, okay, believe that. Right. And then so I go, you might still get your roof approved if I'm not here. It's going to happen. Especially if it's like call it a 2-inch hail zone, whatever. They're gonna pay for your roof. But here, let me show you this claim. Here's what happened. I met this guy. I knocked on his door because I seen the windows from the street, and he opens the door. He goes, "Oh, you're here for the hail, right?" I go, "Yeah, what's up?" I go, "Did you already talk to somebody?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We're already good." I go, "Yeah." I'm just curious, what'd you get? He goes, "Oh yeah, we got an all new roof." I go, "Oh, well, that's good. That's pretty good." I go, "What insurance company you got?" "Oh, we got State Farm." I go, "Okay, cool. Look at this roof." I go, so you should have got for the roof, you should have got somewhere between, I don't know, 15, 20,000, something like that. He goes, "Yeah, right around there." I go, "Cool." I go, "What else did you get?" He goes, "Oh, we got all the metals, all the metals around thing, all the way around." And he's so proud that everything was already taken care of. I go, "Okay, cool." I go, "What else did you get?" He goes, "The whole roof and all the metal." I go, "Man, that's good." I go, "Well, my customers usually get more." I'm stopping here because I noticed something on your house from the street that was worth me talking about, and you still didn't say it yet. And he goes, Well, we already got a contract with somebody." I go, "When'd you sign it?" "Oh, we just signed it yesterday." A little gleam came, ting. Yesterday. Great. So "Well, that happens all
So
the
you're one
time."
of those guys who go
Oh,
after someone else?
if I'm there, if there's a need, if there's a need, I'm here to satisfy the need. I go, I will,
Will you knock at the door if you see yard sign?
typically no. There's two companies that annoy me that I have personally annoy me. I will knock their doors because of personal stuff. But like most people, I know a lot of people.
Why do they know you?
It was one company. This was years ago. We were slower, and they were in a different state, and so you wore their shirts and sold some deals just to patch a little area. It was early spring. We didn't get hit yet, and Iowa got hit with a big storm. So I just happened to come across them, and I was like, "Listen, I just want to go sell some quick deals. I'll go do 10, 20 deals, throw them in real quick, whatever. I'll help you out. You keep the past customers, whatever. I'm just making some quick money." But cool. And then they lied to me about the areas because I was in an area. Like, "No, it's not over there." And next thing you know, I circle came back. They got the whole street. I'm like, so they lied. I caught them in like two or
So
three
now
different.
you're knocking at their doors.
I gave them two or three different times they lied. And then years later, I was back in South Minnesota and I seen them and I was inside an insurance agent's office. And I was so cool with this agent. Like he literally allowed me to set up shop in his office, which was abnormal. And I don't even know he's supposed to do that, but he let me. And then so one of his guys came in there to sell and he got awkward. Like the guy came in there to sell the insurance agent. I'm in there printing off on the printer. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? He was like, "What?" I was like, "No, it's all good, man. You're doing the right thing. Don't feel weird. It's enough for everybody." And go ahead, go practice. you know. So then, but I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I know your owners. I know those guys back in the day. You know, and I didn't say nothing bad about them because I kept it to myself. I shook his hand, gave him confidence. Man, you're doing the right thing. You just a little bit late, player. You know, I already got the Wi-Fi password. you know, you trying to get the name? I'm logged in right now to the Wi-Fi. So then so I helped I gave the guy some pointers. So I got a list from my insurance agent of houses to go get. I went to these houses, and then one of the houses I came to already had a yard sign in it from this other company, the same company. And I was like, dilemma, right? So my attitude 100% was, I'm gonna go knock this door so that I'm satisfying the agent who told me what to do. But I'm going to tell the guy, I'm not going to say, I'm going to leave my sales hat in the car. Went and knocked to the guy, said, "Hey, how you doing? Your agent told me to come check it out, help you guys out. You guys have some damage, blah, 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 blah. But I see you got a yard sign in the guy already in the yard. So you guys are probably already good or whatever. So I just want to come and show face. Did you have any other questions? You know, if you're with those guys, good. I got enough business. I'm good." He goes, well, hold on. Well, if my agent sent you, could you just take another look? I go, all right, I'll take a look for you. You know, I'll take a look. I go, well, the other guy should have told you that you had this, that, and that, and you should do this. And those guys know storms, so they should be able to help you with this. And you got it. Everything should be good. They were like, well, you actually said a couple things that they didn't say, and you know, you came from an agent, so can we go with you? I go, and it was it was a shitty house. To be blunt, it was a shitty house. It was like, what do you call it? Organic, falling off the roof. Half was flat roof. It wasn't going to get paid for. It wasn't the claim worth fighting for. It was like, fucking great, you can have it, you know? So I was like, you know, I even tried to talk my way out of it. He was like, no, we want to go with you. I was like, all right. I was like, well, you actually, you got a tough claim here, to be honest. And I was like, well, why don't you try those guys? And they were like, no, we want to go with you. I'm like, well, all right. I was like, but you tell them. I was like, why don't you tell them? And when you guys are done with them, just give me a call back. So I later the next day I got a phone call from this guy and he called me up, pissed, cussing at me. "Oh, how come you fucking this, fucking that, you're knocking my signs and you're doing it." I go, whoa, 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 whoa. I ain't knock your sign, homie. I go, I had a relationship and I explained the process to him. And the guy just kept yelling and cussing at me. I was like, okay, first of all, your kid ain't on the phone. We're gonna stop yelling and cussing. I was like, so we can talk about it. And then I was like, you can have the contract if you want to go do that. Have you been to the house? I was like, what are we talking about? And then so then he kept yelling and cussing. Then he started to threaten me. I was like, well, you want to threaten me? I drive a black truck that's got my logo on it. If you see me, you can honk twice. Or you gonna let me meet you somewhere? I said, you can if you want to get that out your system, we can do that too. But I advise you, like, let's just move on, you know. And then so he finally stopped. But then after that, he just rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, "Dude, you act like you gonna fight me? I'm not scared of you, but I don't want to do that. I'm gonna end up getting in trouble, you know." So after that, I was just like, forget that guy. So I see him, and then there was another company that years ago in the same city that I told the earlier story about the Dairy Queen at, where this company I had the relationship with the insurance agent, and this other company who's out here a lot. Um, they forged the signature of a homeowner. It was a duplex. I,
Wow.
I had the lady on the left, this lady Mary, and I went to her. First, I didn't get the signature because remember I didn't sign anybody, and then later I went back, and she was the one person that did sign, and then she wouldn't go. I ended up letting her go because her neighbor didn't want to do business with me. She goes, "You're not from here." She was in Cokato. She was like, "You're not from here. You're not from the city. Do you know my son has to go all the way to Minneapolis to get a business and yada yada yada, and we want to keep the business local." I go, "Okay, well, where's your mortgage?" And I started, asking her all these questions, right? I go, "Yeah." I go, "Well, what if people in Minneapolis said he has to come all the way here?" You know. So long story short, she was the kind of lady you just wanted to leave alone. But I did suggest to the homeowner left. I said, there's no defining roof line between your houses. It was about 60 squares altogether. The common area was a one open slope. I go, it's gonna look stupid. I go, unless she picks the exact same shingle and we shingle in the exact, I go, just it's better to use you guys just use one contractor because if there's a leak, who did it? You know. So I go, you know what? I don't want you to feel pressure. She's an old lady. I really cater to like seniors. Like you lived your life, no stress. I don't want to stress any senior. You know. So I was like, you know what, Mary, Miss Mary, I took her check. I ripped it up. Here's your check. You know, cancellation. We're done. You got any questions? You can always call me. Boom. Gracefully bowed out. Let the other guy have it. Right. 2 years later, I got a phone call from the agent. He calls me. He goes, "Hey, Mike. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" I go, "What, you got another customer?" He goes, "No, you remember that lady, Mary?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you have her signature?" I go, "Why? What happened?" He tells me that this other contractor told her that she signed a contract and she didn't remember doing it. I go, "Well, you're an agent. Don't you have her signature?" He goes, "Yeah, but I just want to see if you have it." And I was like, "All right, let me check." It was in my CRM. I scanned it. So I printed it. I emailed it to him.
That's why you have CRM.
Yeah, data. Keep that data, baby.
Mhm.
And then so older ladies, they do cursive. They had penmanship class in high school. So they have really pretty
Wow.
handwriting and they write every letter. If you're born today in the last 20 years, my name is Mike M. Scribble. You know, seniors, you can read every letter. It's cursive. She had cursive. The signature that he had on the contract was M. Scribble. And I was like, oh shit. So I told the guy, I was like, and I was
What
like,
did they do?
they forged a signature for her and they forced her to go with him and she went with him. And I was like, man, I don't like that shit. Because that's what gave it. This is the same city where the guy didn't even want to do business with me because a guy came in and did the contracts. And then here he goes after me. He's actually got another problem with the contractor forge a signature. So I was like, well, here's what you can do. Um, I said, well, you can. At first, I didn't want to go all out and I didn't want to help like get the owner in trouble because you could have a bad hire. You could have what's your company?
Storm group.
Storm Group. You could have hired Ryan, the
Mhm.
Ryan guy, and Ryan could have did some shady shit and you didn't know because he's got all this stuff in the Manila folder. And then the
Mhm.
company's like, they see the logo and they go, Storm Groups, no, bad reviews. And you're like, I don't even know. I don't agree. I don't like it either. Tell me about it so I can fix it, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I tell the guy, I try to downplay it because he wanted to go like Channel 9 news and helicopters and he was ready to go all in. I was like, well, why don't you talk to the owner? I was like, matter of fact, I know how to get a hold of the owner. And I reached out to the owner and I remember I went on one of these groups, these are Facebook groups, and I mentioned it, but I didn't say the name. People kept wanting me to say the name. So finally I said it without saying it. And I was like, well, their logos like this and their letters, and then so somebody was like, boom. And then the owner came in and started hitting me up and threatening me. I'm like, bro, you just messed up. I'm like, you can't tell what kind of guy I am. You can talk to me. I'm like, all you had to do was relate and say, man, isn't that messed up? I was like, yeah, that's messed up. Now we would have been buddies. And I would have been like, well, here, I know the guy. Let me help so your company doesn't get destroyed. But instead, he wanted to act stupid and get tough. I'm like, I can do that too. I'm like, but you just lost the opportunity to be like to
To make
make
it
things
up.
right. Yeah. So we had so I had that opportunity and or that situation, and uh, I think they ended up going to the what do you call it, the Department of Labor Industry and whatever. So I don't know what if they got in trouble.
That's like the darkest side of the industry. Forge contracts, forge signatures, forged mortgage checks.
Forged signature. I called you earlier. Remember this year? I dealt with that too. I had a I almost it got to the point where I was gonna come on here and air the guy out, but I was like, nah. He had to pay.
Do it. Do it.
Yo,
Drop it.
so this guy, I had it a church. It was a $300,000 deal, right? And I call in the public adjuster that I knew from around the way. He's down in Texas, and I mean, he's the names in public already. Anyway, it's he's on the internet, and then so see, I just don't like to do it. And then so when so this guy, he's all over the place, but he took millions of dollars from customers and forged signatures. And I have a guy who's a friend and a mentor of mine, Dev, who's over in the Philippines right now, um, and he did it to him. And I met the public adjuster through Dev, and I'm like, you did it to him? Like, oh, you really ain't shit, you know?
Wow.
So in this case, I gave him 3 deals. They were all large loss, and the guy forged the signature on the church check and wouldn't communicate with me. I'm like, okay, if you got problems behind it. We just got done talking about financial problems. Yo, I understand, but you got to communicate. If you don't communicate, nah, you look funny. So this guy forged a signature because I called the church. The church is calling me, and this is like small town Minnesota. Like I'm talking Ned Flanders, like zippity doodah, zippity day, like like the whitest of whitest small town Minnesota churches that like why them, you know. So he had this Lutheran church and he forged a signature, and they're like, when they got approved, it took 2 years. When they finally got approved, the guy called me on the phone. He says, Mike, he goes, I was so happy. I opened up the letter at the board meeting and I almost started crying. That's the passion that they had. And that's the help that we do for people. So because otherwise that church would have had to pay for this roof out of pocket.
Why did he forge the signature?
Because he
wanted the money.
He wanted the money. He took his fee and he actually took 15%, which is another thing. So he took 15% and he kept the money, and then we didn't hear from him. So when I didn't hear from him, I started reaching out to him. He's been playing me off. It's going on about 10 months. You know, I'll give you a little time, but then after a while, it's like, all right, what's up? Well, then I found out he was in New Orleans doing work on the hurricane. So I'm like, I just got back from New Orleans with Anthony. I know some people down there. You know, we was down there with Floyd Mayweather and the general of the army and the police and there. I know some people down there now. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna call and have somebody knock on his door. I'm like, I'll show you that it doesn't matter where you're at, you know? So I called somebody while I'm working this out to go have somebody knock on his door because I just figured out where he was. And it's not hard. You register a company, it's registered with the state. You know, you just do your homework. I figured out who was working with him, and I had a personal relationship with somebody. Coincidentally, I knew who he was working with, and I called up one of the people, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Oh, you working with Drew?" And then so I'm like, "Oh, you working with Drew?" They're like, "Yeah." And then so they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, do me a favor." I'm like, "Don't turn in no more deals." They're like, "Why?" I'm like, "This is what he did to me." I'm like, "First, let's stop his money. Let him know that you're not gonna talk to him until he takes care of Mike." They're like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Cool." And then I made a post, and I did a post on my Facebook. I said, "Hey, anybody seen Drew? Also known as this, also known as that, also known as this, also known as that. Anybody seen him?" And then and Anthony was like, "Oh man, why didn't you call me? I had a problem." He pinned it at the top of his group page. Like people just like, "Hey, they
Now
showing
he's
support."
done.
Yeah. And then so now he's dead. The guy's done now. He can't do business. And then so,
It's a small industry. People don't realize how fast the word spreads.
oh my gosh.
People think that there's always new group, there's always new roofer to scam, but
Everybody knows everybody, and you're only a couple people away from somebody. It doesn't matter. You just and with technology and everything. So the guy, when I made the post and I had his girl go to stop the money, oh, my phone rang instantly. Hey, what's up, Mike? Hey, I was gonna do that. Hey, listen, check it out. I don't want to hear it. I said, Ant's got this saying. He goes, I don't want to hear about the pregnancy. Just tell me when the baby's born. So I told him, I said, I don't want to hear about the pregnancy. Just tell me when the baby's born. I was like, listen, you got problems. I don't want to hear about it. Save your breath for somebody else. I go, just write the check, put it in give me the tracking number and mail it to me. And then when you met, and then take a picture of the tracking number and the check and text it to me. You don't gotta say nothing to me. Save your breath for cooling your porridge, man. I don't want to hear it, yo. That's it. And he was like, all right. So next thing you know, the next day I got a picture of a check and I got text of a tracking number. And so I said this, so I'm like, oh, cool. I had somebody had Stephen Badger call me. You know Stephen Badger? You know Steve. I'm like, bro, you should get your stuff together because you don't want Stephen Badger on you. His last name is Badger. That's a vicious animal. Okay, he's pretty good at what he does. But Steve's cool. And then Steve started hitting me up and saying, trying to help. Hey, can I help out and everything? And I was like, well, I actually got a check number. And I told Dev, he's like, what? He's like, he owes me millions. He owes this guy money. How'd he pay you? And how'd you get paid out of all these people? And I was like, oh, we'll see. So everybody's watching, like, how did Mike get results? And then, so next thing you know, the check's in the mail. You know, we got to wait 4 or 5 days. I sent it to the church. They're all happy and everything. He gets there. He calls me at 3:30. He's like, I got to go. He goes, but it says I should get here at 4:30. I'll stick around all night if I have to. He stays around there. I didn't hear from him that night, whatever. The next day, he calls me up. He goes, Mike, there's nothing. I go, what? Excuse me. So I had the girl go check his, I had to call the girl that worked with him. I go, yo, this motherfucker didn't say nothing to the church. I was like, yo, are you serious? And I go, all right, now I'm going to talk to Steve. I go, and now I'm going to go check on my other 2 customers that he had. I go, tell him it just got worse. He might want to hear him get that check. I don't want to hear none of the story. Same thing. Give me a picture of the tracking number. If it ain't happening, every time you swing that bat, it's going to get worse. So I go, he messed up. And then
Badger got him.
Badger, Badger got on him. TDI was on him, Texas Department of Insurance.
Yeah.
They were on him. He had problems in Louisiana. He had problems in Texas, and now Minnesota. Well, now this is check forgery. So now he forged his signature on a check.
Wow.
So then I called one of my other customers, and they had a settlement. I never did their roof. It was a built up roof, a rock roof. So only the flashing got paid for. It was less than $20,000 worth of metal. I told him, I said, I don't, if you want to fix it, I don't give a shit. You go do it. And then so I walked away from that deal years ago, right? That was the Maple Grove 2019 storm. So it took 2 years, 2021. I walked away from it. You guys can have that money, do what you want, And then I called him back and I said, hey, by the way, whatever happened with that deal? They go, oh, well, we got the check and we got a little settlement, but we didn't really hear much from Drew. I go, okay, cool. I go, well, when you got the check, I go, the insurance company sent you the check and then you gave Drew his money. And she goes, no, Drew just gave us the money. I go, so do you guys never signed a check from the mortgage company that was made out to you? She goes, no. I go, okay. And left it alone. And then I said, Steve, call these guys too. And then I found out that he also did, you know what a factoring loan is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you guys don't know what a factory loan, and a factory loan is like, say if you are going to sell 100 of these cups and you got to order for 1 million cups. You don't have that kind of money or production set up. You need a loan to fulfill the order. So you can get a loan based off your guarantee. So there's companies that borrow off of guarantees. Like, for example, shout out Captain, the guys at Captain. They do that where if you need money, you can get a loan essentially based off your insurance claim.
Receivables, yeah.
Receivables. So he did this as a public adjuster. He took a loan from some company in New York off the church's future commissions on top of keeping the money.
Wow.
And he was flying back and forth between another country, Belize or whatever. So I'm like,
shady.
So, oh man, he was super shady. Slim Shady in the making over there. Who's the real Slim Shady? Please stand up. And then so he did all that stuff, and then
he's done now. Like
now I guess he's finally done. I think he's done. He drug his son into it too, and I don't know, man, bro. If you watch it, man, if you had stuff going on, you should have just talked to your friends, and you should have did something, because when you start crossing your friends, who do you got? Because you lost your support system. Because back to what Nikki said, the sales reps, right? We're the reps to the people. If you dog us, I got to talk to this guy. You're forcing my hand to go like this and point at you. I could have tried to soothe it to buy you a little time if it was a legit situation. But when you're not talking to us, you're not giving money, you're forging checks, bro. Come on, man. And then so he finally sent the check, and I got the church their money, and we're moving forward. The only problem is that he still took his 15% fee. Badger said that he should have forfeited that. So I got to work with the church right now to get his to forfeit his fee. This slick motherfucker, you know what he tried to do? So he was so when he first came to Minnesota, he told me, hey man, Mike, if you introduce me to some people out there, I'll give you a referral fee based on whatever. I'm like, cool, I'll introduce you to some people. So he said he was gonna give me a referral fee. Naturally, I said, well, if I introduce you to my company, does that count too as referral fee? I was halfway joking, but whatever. So he's like, oh, yeah. I didn't really expect that. And then so when this happens, he gave the church their money back. He kept his fee, right? I didn't ask him for nothing after that. And then he hits me up one day. He calls me. He goes, hey, by the way, I gotta give you your commission. I go, what? I go, what commission? He goes, your what did he call it? He said your public adjust. He worded it, said something like a public adjusting fee. I go, for what? He goes, for estimating. I'm holding the phone. I'm like, this motherfucker. You got the TDI, you got Steve Badger, you got Louisiana, Texas, Minnesota. You got federal problems, and you calling me on the phone trying to make it sound like I'm a public adjuster, estimating. I'm like, that's what the hell I use you for. I sign you up and walk away. I don't even look back. Why would you say I did estimating? I was like, he's on some. I was like, I wonder if it's like, I'm paranoid now. I'm like, is this phone tapped? He's trying to set me up. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, this guy. I was like, this dirty mother commission. Public adjuster for estimating? It's a straight lie. Why would you lie to me on a one-on-one conversation? Somebody else is listening. That's my only thought. So I was like, oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, man. He never sent it. I don't know what he was doing. but he was on some, you know, I don't know. He was trying to pull other people down.
Wow.
I don't know what he was doing. Not me.
Crazy story. It's been 2 hours. We're
Has
gonna
it?
wrap it for today. Yes.
Oh man.
2
Okay.
hours. You're a great storyteller. Thank you, man, so much, guys. It's cold outside. Keep it warm. Make this winter count. Here's what I want to tell everyone. I want to finish on it. Like, winters can be very depressing time for roofers because work stops, cash flow stops, but use it to your advantage. Use it to better yourself. Go to conferences, go to events, networking, wherever you can. Go on vacation. I mean, rest. The spring will come, the work will be there, but don't waste another winter.
Yeah, the time goes by really fast. I mean, we only got 3 or 4 months and the time does go by. I do strongly recommend, if you guys are new in this industry, reach out, see what your friends are doing, do what the successful people are doing. Go to these conferences. If you don't understand why, just go. There's lots of people out there. There's
Especially
tons.
if you've never been.
Yeah, there's
You'll never be the same. Once you go to one conference, you'll never be the same.
yeah, and the truth is some people it gets kind of clicky. It's like lunchroom tables. People sit with who they sit with, but I'm the guy that sits at every lunchroom table. I don't care, but I recommend trying out multiple conferences. Go to at least 2 so you can have some contrast. You can see what people are doing. Educate yourself, because if you are a doctor, you get higher education, you get further education. You have to do that in this industry because nobody's going to teach you, and a lot of people are just jumping in this because they do the bare minimum. Just like code, you do the minimum code compliance, you do the minimum training, and you'll get your license. Further your knowledge and try to be more knowledgeable, because you don't want to come across a client or a salesperson that's more knowledgeable than you, and you're the person that's holding the license. So go educate yourself and check your resources. And if you need something, and I'm open to reach out to me, 612-250-8544. Give me a call, give me a shout. I'll help anybody any way I can, as long as it makes sense, whatever.
Love it. Thank you, Black Mike Holmes. I'll see you guys in the next
Russian
episode.
Dmitry. All right, thanks.